I'm trying to find the thing.
I'll look for it.
Ow.
So we were talking about Rare Beauty and how Rare Beauty by Selena Gomez makes disabled accessible disability accessible makeup brands. So like I was talking about how perfume. This is what a perfume bottle looks like. So you can pick up on the bottom, and that, or you can use your whole entire hand to press it down.
Huh.
So you don't have to like
Hello,
try to.
Angela.
Hello. So you don't have to, if you don't have the hand dexterity, to do it, it's easier for you to do.
Yeah.
So honestly, that was super cool. Also, hey guys, still here. Rapture didn't happen.
Yeah, we're all still sitting on our butts.
Yep, still here. I did see people playing practical jokes. They got balloons of people, like fake people, and they put helium in them so they floated, and they put them on their roof.
That's funny.
So play a joke on everyone, which is kind of funny.
Would you mind texting John to let him know?
Oh, yes, I will.
Can't answer. And if I get up every so often, guys, it's because I'm making dinner. We're having spaghetti and meatballs. Because we have inventory this week, and I don't feel like cooking today. A big old meal. So.
That's why I look a little like, I know I look disheveled quite a bit, but I look even more disheveled because I went to work at 5 a.m. and I left at like 4.
So yeah, probably going to be getting overtime this week just because of inventory.
Yeah, it's going to be a little chaotic.
So. Finally got the other video uploaded onto the A&M History channel. Finally downloaded yesterday while I was sleeping. So got that part taken care of because it wouldn't upload while we were in California. And our trip was good and fun, by the way. We did enjoy the event that we went to. It was fun. John got some videos, so I will definitely do like a little clip or something to that nature.
We each have our little tables, so like I could have my phone here in case like somebody texts me. My drink, candied cherry rebel.
Yep. Caramel pumpkin brulee iced chai.
Happy coffee day.
Time. Yeah. Happy coffee day.
Happy coffee day. If I had been up earlier, well, no, because I have to be at work at 5, and Dutch Bros opens at 5.
Yep.
And I wasn't willing to be late to work.
Yeah, so we have to do that stuff in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So right now we're not. I made the mistake of going on vacation and then coming back and going to work right away the next day on Friday. And usually I don't do that. Usually I take an extra day to be off to recoup from that trip. But so much has happened within that trip, and I made that mistake. I was going to go in on Saturday, and I was just like, no, I'm not going to come in. So our coach is like, what? Michelle's not coming in? Abigail tells him, he goes, well, dang it, that messed up my plans. Yeah. So I need my sleep, and they were hoping I was going to come in. They thought maybe I would come in and work today. I'm like, no, because that's like 7 days, well, 7+ days of working. And not only that, in the middle of this week, I will crash and crash hard. My body cannot do what the young whippersnappers of today can do.
I can barely do what the young whippersnappers of today can do.
Yeah, so it's like, no, my body will tell me.
I'm heavily medicated.
And I will be sick because I've done it before where I had to work inventory and it wasn't pretty because I was so exhausted and so tired. It's like, I'm not doing that again. So, sorry guys, my health is more important. And then I'm working, isn't the next episode Poe?
Yeah.
So I'm working on Poe. And I'm not kidding. I'm actually working on it and doing research. I have my big old thick book over there on that white table and my laptop. And I've been typing. So, ha! For those who thought
nice.
Not do. Edgar Allan Poe I'll do research for. The Disney stuff I did some research for, but I did it in a different way. So so another thing that I found out, I just learned it today because since the pre-recorded one is Disney hauntings, I seen it on social media that somebody was walking through Haunted Mansion and they have to do a walkthrough to make sure nobody was hiding out or snuck in, right? So they have to do a flashlight walk. So as they're doing a flashlight walk, they look down where the gingerbread house is, where the room is, and one of the animatronic things kept going, and the woman was just spinning, like dancing by herself. And when he went to go check out the electronics, they were off. Everything was off. Everything was shut down. And so he's like, all right, well, whatever. I'm just tired. I'm going to keep going. So he kept going and was finishing up his walk. He's at the very end of it when he was hitting the exit. He heard somebody whisper, hurry back. And I'm like, no, I would have been running. And then not only that, he gets to, I think he got back to the break room and they're like, one person looks at him and goes, you heard her, didn't you? Everybody has experienced it, but I guess that person. And when they said, you heard her, didn't you? And they're like, well, what do you mean? And they were telling him all their experiences. But yeah, Haunted Mansion's definitely haunted. Matterhorn is definitely haunted because of the woman that got ran over by one of the cars. And I was like, dang. Because even being on that, now I'm going to be thinking about it. You're like, where'd she get hit at? So I can watch
And
out for an
if you're
apparition.
worried about the camera moving, that was because Willow shook, and it shook the camera.
Yep.
Mini earthquake.
So it's a willow quake.
Yeah.
You get willow butt or willow quake?
Well, Willow is going to be in this episode.
Probably.
The Zodiac Killer wrote a little note that had a willow. It said it had tit willow, tit willow, tit willow.
Aw, Willow, come here. Here, come here. Come on.
We're about to get some willow butt.
Yeah, willow butt. Come on. Come on. Willow
butt.
She's all like, what? Okay, stop whacking my glass. Hi. Make an appearance today. More willow butt.
I also love how she turns around after you say willow butt.
Okay, stop.
Indecent exposure, milady.
Now, what's that? What is a decent exposure, man? I'm a cat. I don't know. I'm not a human. I don't know what that means. Oh, Willow. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the Zodiac Killer is still classified as an unsolved case. There have been people. You will find out how many people were classified as suspects in this case, but there is not any solid evidence, and no one has been arrested or charged with murder for it. He is a killer that still takes up the mind of many people, kind of like how Jack the Ripper does. And there are people who dedicate their free time to trying to solve the case.
Good luck.
Yeah.
You're gonna be there for a while.
You will see there's a group of people in 2021 that came out with who their suspect was and all of the evidence that backed it.
Oh wow. So you mean people are out there doing the police's job?
When it comes to online police work, there is there are whole entire group centers that solve police cases, unsolved police cases.
Thank you. That if people have the time to do that, and they have it to where it's online where you can try and solve it yourself or whatever, they should give like a reward for somebody like literally being able, like not money because it shouldn't be about money, but maybe giving them like an internship or some crap.
Well, like most of the people like in the group that helps them who gave their suspect of the Zodiac Killer were retired investigators. So when they retire, they continue to investigate. You have police like when we talk about a case, we'll talk about like who it is. Like we'll discuss some of the suspects and we can discuss who we more think because I have an idea of who I think.
Okay.
And everyone has their own idea.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Jack the Ripper. They call themselves Ripperologists.
Oh, cool.
And they spend most of their time studying Jack the Ripper.
In the water.
And you'll see the Zodiac Killer is such a narcissist.
Don't lick the top. It's mine.
He's a narcissist, like in the truest extent. But
sorry.
So let's get into it. So the Zodiac Killer began killing, and it began with the Lake Herman Road murders, where 17-year-old David Faraday and his girlfriend, 16-year-old Betty Lou Jensen, were killed.
Why does that name sound familiar?
because she's his first victim. But Betty Lou is also just like a really sweet name.
Yeah, that name just sounds like
Familiar.
so familiar. Like right when you said it, I'm like, what? Where have I heard that name before?
They were normal teenagers in 1968. Davis was a student at Alejo High School and
Sean was just born that year.
was a star wrestler, and he was a popular student. He was an Eagle Scout and had been
Don't start tacking your tail.
recently awarded
Mm-hmm.
the Scouts God and Country Award, which is a really high honor to receive.
Okay.
Like David, Betty was popular and a responsible student. She was a junior in high school, and they were both active in school activities. And they were active in community events like decorating for winter dances, which is actually what brought them together in mid December.
Okay.
And within a week of meeting each other, they were madly in love as teenagers. They began to rearrange their schedules so they could spend more time outside of school together.
Aww.
Now, Betty's parents had said she couldn't date. They actually forbade it because they wanted her to focus on school. But that December, she managed to get her parents to let her go on a date with David. And they made plans for December 20th, making it Betty's first official date.
Oh, that's so cute.
When the day came, David picked up Betty from school and they spent a few hours together before their official date. David dropped her off at home at 6 p.m. and they came and picked her and then came back and picked her up at 8 p.m. Betty invited him inside and he met her parents and the four of them chatted for a little bit. David and Betty then left the house and they told Betty's parents they were headed to the Hogan High Christmas concert and then a party at a friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
And they would be back before 11 p.m., which was about Betty's curfew. They didn't have plans to going to a concert. They instead went to go visit one of Betty's friends around 9 p.m.
Ooh, they lied.
They did lie about that.
That's not nice.
After after that, where they went was a little bit unknown. But whatever they did, by about 11 p.m., David's station wagon was seen parked by the entrance of Benica Pumping Station on Lake Herman Road, which is a very popular Lover's Lane area in Vallejo.
I'm coming.
They parked right at the start of a shift change, so a lot of people remember seeing them at the time. Now, around 11:20, a local mom, Stella Borges, was driving past the pumping station on her way to pick up her son from a movie theater. When she rounded the corner, her headlights shone down the Lover's Lane, where she and the other passengers in her car could clearly see two bodies laying on the ground outside the station wagon.
Mm.
Stella would later describe it to police as it looked like David had fallen out of the open door. She sped past the scene in the to the nearby downtown of Benica, where she stopped the first closest police cruiser she could find, and after listening to her story, Captain Dan Pita and his partner called in the report and they rushed to the scene of the crime and called for an ambulance. When Captain Dan Pita arrived at the scene, he was quickly followed by members of the Benica and Vallejo police departments and also the sheriff deputies from the Solano County Sheriff's Department. It was the latter that would have jurisdiction over the area.
Mm.
So the sheriff's department. Betty was declared dead at the scene, but when the paramedics checked on David, he was still breathing, and he was barely conscious.
Mm.
David was rushed to Vallejo General Hospital, but unfortunately, it was too late, and he did end up being pronounced dead at the hospital at 12:05 a.m.
Oh.
He had been shot just once in the head behind the left ear, and Betty had been shot 5 times in the back, with one bullet piercing her heart.
Mm.
A search and analysis of the crime didn't yield much as far as clues, and there weren't a lot of leads. From what investigators could tell, the couple was parked on Lover's Lane when a second car pulled up right behind them. Based on the location of the shell casings, they theorized that the driver of the second car fired into the station wagon, evidenced by the bullet in the back of the car window.
Mm.
The gunshot forced the couple out of the car. David was likely shot in the head while he was on the ground. Betty, it seemed, tried to run away from the shooter, but she was 20 feet away when the gunman fired from his position next to the station wagon, with 5 of the 6 hitting Betty in the back.
Mm.
Once the killer believed he had executed the 2 teenagers, he left the scene without even collecting the bullet casings. Now, the scene of the crime was frustrating from the very beginning because it was December. The ground was practically frozen solid.
Sorry.
Justin.
Just for the mom burp. Sorry.
Practically frozen solid, so it made it impossible to identify any kinds of tire tracks from the second vehicle. Deputy Sheriff Russell Butterback told reporters.
What?
Butterback?
What? Okay, sorry. We'll
Told reporters, I couldn't say how or what happened. We haven't got that far in the investigation, but there was really nobody anyone could think of as a potential suspect, because both victims seemed like really the last people anyone would want dead.
Yeah.
Some days later, investigators were sweeping the crime to see if they could find anything new, but they couldn't find anything. It was just looking at the same crime scene over and over and over again, and they were getting nothing. So the lead investigator, Ledley Ludbold, was like, we gathered all the evidence we could. We gathered the evidence that was available, the cartridge cases, and the other items that are going to be tested in the lab for potential DNA. So while they are waiting for the results of the labs, the police decide to start interviewing people who knew the couple, hoping there might be able to get evidence that way. That was a non-starter. David and Betty's friends could shed no light on who would want to hurt David and Betty. The police even started theorizing that it was a young man who had been interested in Betty, and even though it was her first date, maybe this man had been rejected or was jealous. So there was a lot of questions, but no answers. So when the interviews with families also turned up nothing, they started to question whether it was someone who knew them, and they started to come up with other possibilities. And I'm quoting here. They met their deaths Friday night at the hands of a murderous maniac who was not acquainted with either of his victims. The theory is given a little more weight when teenager William Crow said he had a strange experience an hour and a half before the murders occurred. He claimed that he was parked around the same area that David and Betty had been parked when he noticed another car parked in the dark area a little bit away. And he said the driver was watching him. And he said when he saw the backup lights on that car turn on, he drove away. He booked it. And that other car followed him all the way until they reached downtown Benicia.
Oh, wow. So he's staking people out then.
Venica. Well, is it Benica? I think it's Benica. Where the car following him disappeared.
Huh.
So he was staking out the area. It wasn't a spur of the moment. It was premeditated.
Yeah, he's watching. He's going up there to watch, and it's on a Lover's Lane type thing. So
yeah,
or Makeout Mountain, whatever you want to call the crap back then.
Yeah. He claimed he didn't think anything of it until Saturday when he saw the news and he connected the dots. So towards the end of December, there were no leads. There was nothing. All they knew was that the kids were ordered out of the car at gunpoint, and when they didn't get out fast enough, the shooter fired a warning shot into the back window. And then the shooter shot the boy, and that's when the girl started to run, and she was killed as she ran. The case seemed unsolvable, and the police were stumped. And by the new year, it was just another tragedy that was forgotten by mid-January. There's no reporting on the murders at all. The students, though, never forgot.
Right.
The students at Vallejo and Hogan High established a reward fund, and they would go door to door asking for donations for the fund, hoping the reward would get some sort of answer. And fun little fact, no one has attempted to claim their reward. It still exists.
Wow. Oh, God. God only knows how much,
Yeah, and
I'm surprised I didn't use that fund because of how long people have been trying to get,
well,
identify the Zodiac Killer, but maybe doing like a fund, like a tree or planting a tree or doing a memorial of some kind.
No one's ever tried to claim that reward, from what I could find at all. I
mean, you just got some.
Yeah. The families were unnerved by the idea that their kid's killer was a stranger, and they were like, this is never going to get solved. And so by the summer of 1969,
Dang.
David and Betty's murders virtually were forgotten, and life had started to become normal. But that normal quickly turned into fear when another couple was gunned down by an unidentified killer. 22-year-old Darlene Farron worked at a local diner, and everyone who met her liked her. And it seemed like she and her husband Dean were having a good life and living a good time. They were living together and raising their baby girl together in a really good neighborhood, too. There was a little dark secret. Though she was married, she was known to date other men. I don't know if it was polyamory, if the husband knew, but everyone kind of knew this secret. That summer, she had been seeing a man named Mike Mugget, who was 19. They had met at the diner, and on July 4th, Mike and Darlene made plans to see each other. So one early evening, Darlene was going to a 4th of July party with her sister, and she would meet Mike at like 11:30 at night. And when they finally got together, they decided to get a late dinner. And a short time later, she drove into the parking lot of Blue Rock Springs, which is a local park. She turned off her engine, and a few minutes earlier, she had mentioned to Mike there was something she wanted to talk to him about. But that conversation was interrupted when a bunch of teenagers with firecrackers pulled into the parking lot and began throwing firecrackers around and making a bunch of noise. She wasn't able to talk to Mike because there was so much noise she couldn't really hear.
Much distraction.
The teenagers left and the two began their conversation up again. This time, they were interrupted by a car pulling into the parking lot now. The whole parking lot was empty, so the car could have parked anywhere.
Yeah.
But instead, the driver parked the car about 8 feet behind Darlene's car, turned off their headlights, and sat in the car and stared at the couple for a couple of minutes before he started his car and drove away out of the parking lot. Mike asked Darlene if she knew the driver, and she was a little annoyed because she wanted to talk to him. And there was interruption after interruption. And she was eventually like, never mind. I don't want to talk to you about this right now. We keep getting interrupted. It's obviously not the time to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Mike didn't push because he saw she was so agitated. So they started talking about other things.
Well, and then once sit there and talk, then just go ahead and do your dang conversation.
And but once they started talking, they were interrupted by that car that had previously pulled away.
Yeah.
Pulling up behind them again 5 minutes after it first left the parking lot. About 10 feet behind them. Closer to the passenger side more than anything. So the headlights were still on when the driver of the second vehicle got out and walked to the passenger side of Darlene's car. Mike couldn't really notice anything in the dark, and he was also being blinded by the headlights. The only thing he could make out was what appeared to be a flashlight. He noted it was one that a police officer would wear and have on him. So Mike and Darlene, fully expecting it to be an officer, were like, great, we're going to get hassled by the police. So Mike reached into his pocket to get his wallet and have his ID out, and Darlene's over here also like getting his ID out, right?
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh great, we're going to be hassled by the police for sitting in a parking lot. I'm going to get a ticket, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Mike reached in his pocket to get his wallet. But when the man finally got to the passenger side window, he shined his light in. But he didn't ask for ID. He just fired a semi-automatic handgun, shooting Mike in the back, neck, and mouth.
Wow.
So the shooter, thinking Mike was dead, turned the gun to Darlene, who sat in the driver's seat stuck. She was frozen. She was a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
And she was also shot several times, hitting her arm, her shoulder, her chest, and her back.
Jeez.
As the shooter was leaving and walking back to his vehicle, Mike yelled out in pain because he wasn't dead yet. So the shooter turned around and he shot them both 2 more times. Now, the shooter, again thinking both of them are dead, got back in his car and sped off. Mike was not dead yet, though. He managed to open his passenger side door, and he fell out of the car.
Oh, wow.
He was able to get a good look at the shooter's car, and he described it as a car looking similar to Darlene's Corvair, though a lighter shade of brown. And he was able to look at the license plate, He was not able to get the numbers, but he recognized it as an older style that was no longer used in the state.
Oh, wow.
Mike laid there on the ground for 10 minutes until 3 teenagers pulled up and found him. He was bleeding a lot, so they left him to get help. And when the Vallejo police showed up, they found Mike still laying on the ground by the car. He was in bad shape, but he took the time to tell the police all the details he could remember,
Wow.
including the description of the driver's car. Darlene was also alive, but she was barely breathing and couldn't speak. Both were rushed to the hospital. Mike went into emergency surgery in the ICU, and Darlene died on her way to the hospital. At 12:40, the police were investigating the scene when a call was made to the Vallejo Police Department, and the caller said, "I want to report a double murder. If you go 1 mile east on Columbus Parkway to the public park, you will find the kids in the brown car. They were shot with a 9mm Luger. I also killed those kids last year. Goodbye."
Oh, jeez. So he turned himself in, but not turned himself in.
He confessed to the crime.
Yeah, he's pretty much like, okay, I'll tell you what I just did, but I'm not.
This is
Wow.
what the Zodiac Killer. This is why the Zodiac Killer is the way we was so sensationalized, and I think we still sensationalize him, is because most killers like BTK, he would write letters,
Mm-hmm.
but this would he would write letters and he'd be like, "Okay, this is how it is." He would also call and he'd be like, "Okay, goodbye." Just the goodbye part.
Yeah, and he sounds like very nonchalant about it. Like, this is what I did.
I just
Oh, I
killed
did
those
this
kids.
last year.
Oh, I killed those 2 kids last year. Goodbye.
Like, there's no, yet nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Investigators were like, "We need to be
You told on
on
yourself.
top of this."
Mm-hmm.
So they figured the call was made at a gas station payphone a little less than a mile down from where the shooting had occurred.
Mm-hmm.
The gas station, though, was closed, so they couldn't ask people who they recalled seeing call at the time.
Mm.
So when they got there, the caller was gone.
Oh, wow.
The police realized early on that the person who called wasn't doing it to confess, or anything like that. It was to mock the police. Much like the previous murders of David and Betty, the crime scene held no evidence. There were no clues or leads. Mike did say that even though a flashlight was shined in his face, he could identify who the killer was, and he described the man as a short, heavy-set, and driving a brown car. So he would be able to recognize him, but he wouldn't be able to describe him. He couldn't describe the killer any better, and that was because one of the bullets had hit his neck, which had injured his tongue and fractured his jaw.
Oof.
Yeah. Another witness saw the whole thing, though. Well, he didn't witness it, he heard it.
Yeah.
George Bryant was a son of a local golf course owner, and he lived about 800 feet from the parking lot where the 2 were shot. He had been looking out his bedroom window a little after 11:30, and he couldn't see into the parking lot, but he could hear everything pretty well. He told police about the firecrackers and the teens, and that around midnight he thought he heard a single gunshot, then a short pause, then another series of shots fired in rapid succession.
Hmm.
He then heard the car pull out of the parking lot. The Vallejo Police Department didn't and couldn't calm the fears of the people over 4 shootings that have happened in the span of 7 months. One officer said simply, "We got a crazy man on the loose,"
You think?
which helps nobody calm down.
No. What? Number one, no, really? And then you're putting a lot of people in freaking panic because you sit there and say that.
What made it worse was there was no motive for the shooting. It was a clear sign that the shooter wanted to kill,
Yeah.
but there was no reason for the kills. When asked why didn't the killer just make sure he had killed them, the officer said, "I think he just ran out of bullets." So he had fired his semi-automatic handgun until he had no bullets left. And that hunch was correct. The forensic technicians found the exact number of cases that you would find loaded in a 9mm pistol, proving that the killer only stopped because he hadn't brought additional ammunition.
Yeah, wow. So let me guess, you prepared better for the next time.
Well, we'll talk about the next one. Under the circumstances, Darlene's husband Dean was the first suspect, but he had an alibi. He was working a shift at the Tennessee Street restaurant, and his presence was confirmed by all his coworkers. Other than him, there was no other suspect, and there was no other clues that pointed in the right direction. So, given the call, they realized it was the same shooter as David and Betty, and those suspicions were confirmed again
Willow butt.
when a few weeks later,
Put your butt down.
the San Francisco area newspapers received similar letters claiming to be the killer. The first letter, written to the San Francisco Chronicle, was written in a crude block print, and it read, "Dear editor, this is the murder of the two teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman, plus the girl on the 4th of July near the golf course in Vallejo. To prove I killed them, I shall state some facts which only I plus the police know. Christmas. One brand," so he says one, "brand name of ammo, Super X. 2. 10 shots were fired. 3. The boy was on his back with his feet in the car. 4. The girl was on her right side facing west.
Oh, wow.
4th of July. One girl was wearing patterned slacks. 2. The boy was shot in the knee. 3. Brand of ammo was Western." And then he wrote over, indicating to flip the paper over. And that read, "Here is part of a cipher. The other 2 parts are being mailed to the editors of the Vallejo Times, plus the San Francisco Examiner. After a period of time, the letters would become the calling card of the Zodiac Killer. The thing we know him for to this day."
Yeah.
But when the newspapers got these letters, they were very confused because they thought it could have been a mentally ill person claiming the killings as their own.
Yeah.
So no one took these letters in the beginning as
Serious.
serious. Especially because the grammar was wonky. There would be full sentences, and then there would be sentences that would have no proper punctuation, and words were misspelled. And a lot of people say it's purposefully misspelled, but other people are saying, no, I think he's just misspelling words. Like Christmas. Christmas was spelled with 2 S's. It was, the end word was M-A-S. You know how it's spelled M-A-S? It was M-A-S-S. And he possibly spelled patterned wrong in the letter too. People thought he spelled those words wrong intentionally as a way to break the cipher, but it was never fully clear. Each letter had a cipher, and each of the ciphers were hand-drawn and were unique. But they all went together, so in order to solve them, you needed all 3. But they were sent separately. There was a warning with these ciphers, and it was an ultimatum. And the ultimatum was that the editors needed to publish the ciphers by the next afternoon, or the killer was going to go on a killing rampage, and he threatened to kill a dozen or more people.
Oh, wow.
The police knew this guy was the real deal because he had given adequate and true information in the letters, and the detectives believed the letters, but only the Chronicle compiled with the task, complied with the task, and published the cipher the next day. The Examiner ran the story the day after receiving the letter, but didn't publish the cipher. And the Times Herald published their cipher a couple days later, and not on the front page like had been requested.
Oh, wow.
Thankfully, even though they didn't comply with his wishes, there was no mass casualty event. Which I will say, to them during this time, it was a big deal. And I don't mean mass casualties events aren't a big deal for us.
Yeah.
But this is how I think of it. When I think if I'm ever going to be in a mass casualty event, or if I'm going to know somebody who's in a mass casualty event, it's not a if, it's a when am I going to know? Like, because to us, and I hate to say it, nowadays, mass casualty events happen a lot. But back then, in the 60s,
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. So there was even more fear around this idea that this man would kill a dozen or more people like that.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of fear at the time. So Hoping to draw the killer out and maybe get some information, Vallejo Police Chief Jack Stilts told reporter he was not convinced that the killer was the one who wrote the letters. He said he would like the letters to supply more facts. He was trying to rage bait to get information. He was trying to rage bait the Zodiac Killer.
You're gonna just tick him off.
You will see a lot of the police. What they do is they rage bait. They try to rage bait him.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
It's okay. You can lay there.
In response, the San Francisco Examiner received a second letter on August 4th that read, "Dear editor, this is the Zodiac speaking. I answer to your asking for more details about the good times I had in Vallejo. I shall be happy to supply more material. By the way, are the police having a good time with the code? If not, tell them to cheer up. When they do crack it, they will have me."
What? You got this. He's like boosting them up, like you can do it. Just keep on going. Cheer up, bucko. What the heck?
If not, tell them to cheer up.
It's
when
okay.
they crack it, they will have me.
You got this.
On the 4th of July, I did not open the car door. The window was rolled down already, and already was spelled ALL space READY.
Why did I was actually right when you said that, I was actually thinking that in my head and like spelling it out. I bet you 10 to 1 you put another L in there.
Yeah. And it was like there was a space too.
Huh.
Like instead of already, it was he had spaced it like it was all ready.
Okay. Yeah.
So people are like unsure if he's misspelling.
Kind of just, I mean, for my head and for me, it just sounds like he's doing it on purpose.
I don't know. The boy was sitting in the front seat when I began firing. When I fired the first shot into his head, he leaped backwards at the same time, spoiling my aim.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up in the back seat, then the floor, thrashing about violently with his legs. That's how I shot him in the knee.
Oh, jeez.
I did not leave the scene, spelled CENE,
okay,
of the killing with squealing tires plus a racing engine, as described in the Vallejo paper. I drove away slowly so as not to draw attention to my car, and that was it. The letter had no signature, but it was signed with the simple shape of a circle with a cross in it, marking it as the crosshair's image, the image we know as the Zodiac's calling sign. Police did at the time start coming out and saying, "Do not go into lonely areas," because there was a lot of fear in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So while the spokesman was trying to calm fears, investigators were trying to solve the ciphers. They even got help from cryptographers and a cryptographic unit from the U.S. Navy radio station at Skaggs Island. The group had done a lot of encrypted messages and complex ciphers, and this one was stumping them. But a police got a call from a couple in Salinas, California, who had seen the puzzle in the paper and managed to crack the code. After the ciphers were published, high school teacher Donald Hardin and his wife Betty spent several hours trying to crack the code. And they were able to decipher the symbol spelling killing. Then it became a matter of identifying the other symbols.
Oh, wow.
After 20 hours, they decoded the whole entire message.
Those people must do puzzles.
Yeah. Donald told reporters about the Zodiac Killer.
Mm-hmm.
His spelling is poor, and in some areas he made errors using his own cipher.
Oh, wow.
So personally, what I love about this is they're making fun of him. They're like, yeah, he did a cipher, but he's kind of stupid.
Like he's not literate.
Like
he can't spell.
And he's bright enough to make a cipher, but he's stupid enough not to know how to spell.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm stupid and I don't know how to spell, but I can blame that on autocorrect.
Yeah, so she went, yes, on the autocorrect.
Autocorrect.
This is what I'm about to say, ain't stupid.
So this is the message that he wrote. This is the first original cipher with all the errors fixed. And he also wrote this in all caps. So I want you to think of it written on all caps what I'm about to read to you. It is a little disturbing. Not as disturbing as the Toy Box Killer, but it is kind of unnerving.
Okay.
So it goes, here it goes. I like killing people because it's so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest. Because man is the most it's hunger to. There's debate if he meant to say dangerous, but there's no real idea.
Mhm.
This is one of what they mentioned when they said he messed up his own cipher.
Okay.
Hunger to animals of all. To kill something gives me the most thrilling experience. It is even better than getting your rocks off with a girl.
Oh my God.
When I die, I will be reborn in paradise.
Never been Kentucky.
When I die, I will be reborn in paradise. But he spelled paradise with a CE instead of an SE in
Huh.
his own
Cipher.
cipher.
Okay.
And all that I have killed, and all that I have killed will become my slaves. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow, spelled SLOI,
Okay.
or stop collecting slaves for the afterlife. And then it is signed EBO Riot MF Hippity.
What?
Nobody knows what those last 4 words mean. Donald and his wife weren't able to decipher those last 4 words, but they suspected it was a signature, and they weren't exactly sure. No one's been able to break that code. It literally is just EBO Riot MF Hippity, and then MF and then Hippity. That's it. Some people say it sounds like he's trying to like pronounce Latin, like EBO Rio of Hippity, but even then it's weird.
Hmm.
They can't determine it. Donald and his wife weren't able to decipher those last 4 words, but they suspected it was a signature. So the next day, a decryption actually arrived in the mail. It was more or less the same as the couple, and it came from an anonymous source. There were a couple differences between the two.
Mhm.
And several months later, when asked about it, Donald Hardin said the killer was bright enough, but not necessarily of high intellect.
So pretty much the same thing as the other couple said.
Same dude.
Oh, okay.
He's just going after. He's like, he's bright,
But
but
he,
stupid.
yeah. Wow.
Hardin thought that the guy had no experience with cryptology, and he either made up the cipher or he pulled it from a book in an obscure detective story. So he's like, he's either bright enough to make his own, or he's stealing it from somebody else. I don't know.
Copycat.
When it was so 8 weeks pass and nothing happens. It's quiet. It's dead silent. Not even the publication of the decrypted message got this guy writing another letter. So like they published that they had decrypted the message, and he wrote nothing to them.
Hmm.
So that was until they got to the third killing, when a couple was attacked at Lake Baranzia, about an hour outside of Vallejo. So he had changed his location. He's repeatedly changing his location to different areas, close together still, but still in different police districts. 22-year-old Cecilia Shepard and 20-year-old Brian Hartnell, who were college students at Pacific Union College.
Sorry, I keep getting up doing food.
They met in 1968 and they fell in love, and they spent all their free time together. By fall of 1969, things cooled down, and they drifted apart, and they broke up officially when Cecilia transferred to UCLA Riverside. The breakup was amicable, but Cecilia had a problem. She had left stuff at Pacific Union. So on the afternoon of September 27th, she decided to make the trip to campus to grab the last of her things. And after grabbing it, she decided to stop by for lunch, where she ran into Brian. They started talking and catching up, and they didn't want to go their separate ways yet. So they brought a friend Judy to a rummage sale in St. Helena. After leaving the sale about around 2,
Mhm.
Brian and Cecilia dropped off Judy at the college. And since they weren't done hanging out, they decided to go to Lake Berenice. So they parked their car and started walking the short distance to the shoreline. when Brian laid a blanket on the grass for the two of them, and they began chatting up like old friends. Brian started to hear something moving in the bushes behind him, about 15 to 20 feet from him. And he was laying on his back and he wasn't wearing his glasses, so he asked Cecilia to look in the bushes and see what was making the noise. And she said she saw a man in the distance standing in the tree line, and then the man just disappeared. Brian was like, the dude probably had to pee and he got shy. You were looking at him. And
after he makes her go look, come
well,
on,
he
dude.
was like, look up and see what's making the noise in the bushes. Because she's laying on her stomach, right?
Right.
So she's laying on her stomach. He's like, hey, I hear something over there. Can you like look?
Can you look? Because I can't take 2 seconds to put my glasses on and flip over.
Well, Cecilia was like, no, the dude was staring at us. I know it. I can tell he was just staring at us.
Wow.
A couple moments later, that man who was in the tree line appeared closer to them than before. And Cecilia shouted, oh my God, he's got a gun.
Wow.
After the attack, Brian would describe the confusing moments that led up to the attack. In the time between ducking behind the tree and reappearing in front of them, the man donned a heavy canvas executioner's hood that covered his head and went down to his stomach.
Oh, thank you.
This is part of the Zodiac Killer that most people don't know.
Your dog just farted.
Oh, Hermione.
You didn't hear it?
No.
Sorry. It's a that's all I heard.
The top of the bag had like 4 corners and it was flat.
Hermione, if that stinks, so help me.
And Brian said it looked like it had been made by someone that didn't know how to sew.
So he can't spell. He can't spell. And he can't sew.
He can't do ciphers well.
So home ec was not good for him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Embroidered on the chest was the cross and circle,
his
crosshair, his sign. About 3 inches in diameter, and the weirdest part was he had cut eye holes in it, which gives a little clannish until you find out the next part, where it looked like he had clip-on sunglasses attached to the eye holes.
I'm just thinking about all the hoodies that they've made now in these days, where you can zip it up and it's got the eyeball on it, and it covers your face.
No, I'm just thinking about what went through his head to go, I'm going to put clip-on sunglasses on this.
It's going to look cool.
It's going to be the coolest
thing. They can't see my eyes. It's funny how we make fun of the killers.
You know what? Y'all thinking? They deserve to be made fun of. They killed people. They can handle a little.
Yeah, because what's wrong with you?
They can handle a little criticism on their kills.
A little. Some of them deserve a lot.
Some of them do deserve a lot.
And right now he's building up.
Yeah.
Can't spell, can't sew.
Putting clip-on sunglasses in a freaking flat hood. It was flat on the top. Did he put starch on it?
You like one of those that sits there and he does the whole. He's going up to the sunglasses. Flip them down.
Did his clip-on sunglasses flip up?
I mean, come on.
Where was he hiding it? Because he wasn't wearing it when he was hiding in the trees.
No.
Did he have it like in his back pocket? And he was like, okay, I gotta get this on real quick.
I mean, that's a pretty small back pocket for a jacket. But hey.
He's like, I gotta put this on real quick before I kill these people.
Wait, let me put my sunglasses on. If I ever killed, just know I ran my mouth till the end.
Same here. Same here.
Dude.
I joke because my scream, I don't scream loud. I scream like, ah.
And it's hilarious. And then when you do it, she'll be like, bitch.
My personal favorite thing is I scream like that to give anyone who's trying to kill me confidence issues.
They'll be like, well, is she even worth killing enough?
Am I not scary enough?
Like, did I do something wrong? Something about scary enough. I'll tell you right now, I don't like Pennywise. I don't like.
You're not the only one.
I mean, it's a good movie. And they're coming out with a number 2.
Number 3.
Is it 3?
Yeah, because they already released. It's a prequel.
Something dairy.
Yeah, it's about Derry and how he became Pennywise. So, as Cecilia said, the man had a gun in his hand. Brian looked up, and he was walking towards them, but he wasn't walking with a menacing energy per se.
He probably like walking, hey guys, what's up?
He was perky. Exactly, and not scary enough for the kid. So they literally said he was walking towards them with he wasn't walking with a menacing energy. He just had an executioner hood that was flat on the top and clip-on sunglasses.
Like, what up, folks? Check out my new digs.
The thing I made that I was terrible at making.
My mama didn't help me.
My mama didn't sew it. I asked her to. You'll hear some of the things that the police officers say about this man.
No Mike Myers.
No, Mike Myers.
Mike Myers did better.
So the man finally gets to them, right? And the man said, and he has a gun in his hand, right? He goes, I'm an escaped convict from Deer Lodge Prison in Montana. And he said that he was fleeing to Mexico, and he had no intention of hurting them. He just wanted their money and the keys to Brian's car, so he could leave the country. And they were like, cool,
Here,
take it. Brian tried to start a conversation, even offering to write him a check. He was like, I got 75 cents in my bank pocket, my bank account, but I'll write you a check.
For 75 cents.
For 75 cents.
To call someone who gives a crap.
The man ignored him and said, I have to tie you up now. The gunman then pulled a plastic closet line from behind his back in his back pocket and tossed it to Cecilia.
I mean, the girl tripping over AI going upstairs. Oh, air, not AI. Going upstairs instead of opening the front door sounds about right. My best friend does that.
This man,
she walks and trips over
in an flat executioner hood, pulls out from his back pocket plastic clothesline, tosses it to Cecilia and saying, you need to tie Brian's hands behind his back. Now, she did as she was told, and she didn't want to hurt him, so she tied them loosely. When she finished, the man tied her up with tight knots and then retied Brian's hands with tighter knots. Yeah. Brian started fighting, saying, no one will come this way. We can die of hypothermia. And then the man got upset and put the barrel of the gun against Brian's head and told him, I told you to get down. Because I think at this point he had also taken off his hood. Brian did as he was told, and then he hog-tied Brian, and he began hog-tying Cecilia. And as he was doing this, Brian noticed the guy's hands were shaking. And so Brian asked, are you nervous? And the man responded with, yes, I guess so.
Brian, how about you shut up?
Which I'm just going to throw an idea that I've heard. His hands may not have been shaking because he was nervous to do the kill. His hands may have been shaking because he was excited to do the kill. Which is kind of a terrifying thought. Yeah. And that's probably why he said it. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. According to a park ranger that found Brian and Cecilia a little bit after the attack, Brian said immediately after that the man pulled a knife and said, I'm going to have to stab you.
Oh my God.
And after hearing that, Brian freaked out and was like, stab me first. I'm a chicken. I couldn't see her being stabbed first. Oh. He was trying to do whatever he could
to save her.
Yeah. Later on, though, he said he couldn't remember if that happened or if the man just produced a knife and stabbed him in the back. So he was his brain went all foggy. Trauma. Just
adrenaline trauma, all that stuff.
So the man proceeds to stab Brian in the back 8 times.
Ooh.
Brian pretended to be dead. And so the man then turns his attention to Cecilia. He stabbed her more than 10 times in the back, in the abdomen, and in the groin while she was fighting back.
Ow.
Yeah. Confident both victims were dead because Cecilia was like, I'm gonna fake death too. He stood up and calmly walked away, leaving Brian's wallet and car keys laying on the ground. So it was never about having his wallet and his car keys. Once Brian was sure the man was gone, he called out to Cecilia, and despite the attack, they began talking about how they could get the bindings off and go for help. Using his teeth, Brian was able to loosen Cecilia's binding enough to free one hand, but she had been tied up for so long and so tight, her arm and hand was numb. And she wasn't able to untie his hands or her own ankles. Desperate, they started screaming, hoping one of the boats on the lake would hear them and investigate the sound. It took a minute or 15, took a little bit, before fisherman Richard Fong heard the cries for help, and he went to get a park ranger. Cecilia gained the use of her hands and managed to free Brian's hand, which led him to untie all the remaining bindings. Thinking no one was coming, he decided he needed to go to the main road for help. Luckily, he only made it 225 yards before stumbling, and he spotted a ranger named Dennis Land, who had heard the broadcast and started walking to the scene. And also another ranger had gone back to the shoreline along with a couple of people who also heard the noise of them screaming for help and all that other stuff. By the time everyone got there, it was clear Cecilia's injuries were worse than Brian's. It was so bad, Ranger White was quoted, "I've seen a lot of things. People cut by blades and such, but nothing anything like these two nice kids just cut to pieces."
Wow.
So he called an ambulance immediately, and they started to tend to Cecilia. So he called an ambulance, and they started taking care of Cecilia the best they could. But unfortunately, the lake was far from civilization and the hospital. It took 45 minutes to arrive for EMS to get there. And the EMS took both of them to the hospital. 2 hours later is when they finally got to hospital.
Good God.
Brian was awake and coherent, and Cecilia was in a coma.
Dang.
At 7:40, a little over an hour after Brian and Cecilia were attacked, a call was made to Napa police from an anonymous caller who said, "I would like to report a murder. No, a double murder. They are 2 miles north of park headquarters. They are in a little white Volkswagen." Thinking the caller was just reporting a crime, he asked for the caller's name and location. The man, ignoring the police officer, said quietly, "I'm the one that did it," and then hung up.
Oh, he went from goodbye to "I'm the one that did it."
Later, Officer Slater, who took the call, said there was traffic noise and background chatter before he hung up. They traced it to a payphone in Napa. In total, 35 prints were lifted in that phone booth, including a promising palm print. And some were so fresh they still showed beads of moisture. But it didn't do much to identify the killer. The crime scene, like the other two, there was little or no evidence found. And that also might have been due to a well-meaning park ranger. He had picked up and moved the couple's stuff and the bindings to park headquarters.
Seriously, dude?
Thus compromising the investigation.
Never touch stuff.
He was trying to help them, and I get it. He didn't know what to do.
Yeah, leave it alone. You not watch cop shows?
But there was one clue written on the side of Brian's car in felt tip pen. The following message said, "Vallejo, 12/20/68, 7/4/69."
Oh, he's listing his
9/27/69, 6:30 by knife.
Wow. So he's right. Watch more true crime shows, homie. Yeah, that okay. So now he's listing what he's done so far.
Yeah. He had wrote the dates of the first and second murders and then timestamped this murder and how he killed them. He drew the crosshairs image.
Oh wait, okay, hold on. Does he know? So the two that went to the hospital.
He doesn't know they're not dead yet.
Okay, there you go. You know what I was going to ask.
The message would be made public, but they left the by knife out to help verify the identity of the killer. Because I will say this, and I'm gonna I mentioned it again. People are going to people. There is actually a whole subset. The reason police don't release all information is because there are people who will go and say, I did this crime when they didn't do the crime.
Which is smart because people are going to try and do everything they can to step up to take credit for something that they didn't do.
Exactly. There are, like, for example, I think there's a serial killer. He killed multiple women, but he was so smart. What he did was he literally would tell police he killed people, and he would admit to it, and they would arrest him, and then they would find he was in a different state at the time of the murders.
Oh, wow.
So they released him. So they would never think he was an actual murderer.
So for them, it was like he was constantly crying wolf.
And
when he was the wolf.
And so because he kept confessing to different murders, they never even considered him a suspect.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was smart with it. All right. So the message would be made public. Police were like, he's going to contact us again. But even though it was compromised, the police were able to reconstruct what happened. The police found a set of footprints leading from the scene to the crime to Brian's car, and they found clear tire impressions that were left by the killer's car that had been parked behind Brian's on the main road. The tire impressions revealed a unique detail that would be useful to identify the car if they had it. And it was that the two front tires were not the same. The same day, the dean of Pacific Union College, who reported 3 students had come forward with some information. According to the young women who were at the lake, they had gone to sunbathe and they settled on a spot near the western shore, which is where Brian and Cecilia had been attacked. As they were getting out, they noticed a man in a light blue Chevrolet with a California license plate. He was parked nearby. They thought nothing of it, but half an hour later, all of them saw the man from the parking lot standing 50 feet away, staring at them. But whenever they looked at him, he would look away. Short time later, he passed the group as he walked back to his car. The witnesses described the man in pretty much the same way. 30-year-old, 6 feet tall, 200 to 225 pounds. Stocky with dark hair, parted on the left side, wearing dark pants and a short-sleeve sweater. And they all agreed he was nice looking. So as the detectives were interviewing the girls, the Napa Sheriff Captain, Don Townsend, was having a press conference, saying this was the same man that had killed the couple in Vallejo, the same couples in Vallejo. And he told reporters that this man was a psychopathic killer. And he went on to say that Cecilia's stabbing had sexual overtones in it. I assume he got that because her groin area was stabbed, but other than that, there's no evidence of it.
Okay. Could see why he thought it though.
And that's also really dangerous though.
Yeah.
Because for all you know, that wasn't his intention, and so he could then get really angry. While she was
fighting and he was stabbing, he may have.
And he could take that as an insult, and he could try to prove that that's not the case.
Yeah.
Which rage baiting sometimes works in cases. This is not one of those cases where rage baiting will work.
Yeah.
Because he is, as much as I hate to say it,
he's pretty dangerous.
He's dangerous, and while he is stupid, he is still kind of high intellect.
Yeah.
Where he doesn't let that rage baiting get to him on that level where he knows it's rage baiting. He knows the emotions. It's why I think it's disturbing when he calls and he has none. I killed them. And then he hangs up.
Like he disassociates himself from certain things. He's so excited about doing the kill. And then when he goes to tattle and tell on himself, he disassociates himself
from it.
To sit there and say, oh yeah, I'm the one that did it. Bye-bye. Goodbye. It was me. I did it. Goodbye.
Yeah.
So he's like an intellectual dissociation killer.
And that's the thing. We don't...
A disassociated killer.
And this was before, and I'm going to say it again later on. I know I wrote this. This is before FBI profiling. There was no behavioral analysis. There was no science. There was no.
I was gonna say this is back in that day that they didn't have all that stuff.
And this was when they had. I think I mentioned it previously. Serial killers. The term serial killers didn't exist. They would just call them multiple murderers. So this is new to them.
Yeah.
They had never really profiled anybody. They've never really this is one of the cases where they kind of start with it and you can kind of see they're headed in the right direction, but then you're like, nope, you veered off left at that last part.
Yeah. Start all over again.
So he also suggested that the killer might have been a patient at the Napa State Hospital, and he said that was zero evidence.
It's not a Michael Myers.
Yeah. On the afternoon of September 29th, just before 4 p.m., Cecilia Shepard passed away from her wounds, making her the fourth victim of the Zodiac Killer,
That's sad.
as the media had dubbed him. And he had dubbed himself. Because
Now,
remember in the first second later he wrote, "This is a Zodiac speaking." So he dubbed himself the Zodiac Killer.
I was gonna say, because in my head I'm thinking, did he go for the name because of the months he was doing all these killings in?
Nobody knows.
And it's like, why would you dub yourself the
I think
Zodiac
later
Killer?
on they discover that he was doing things. I'll get to that. That you're getting ahead of me, okay?
Sorry, my brain thinks ahead sometimes.
Brian came out of surgery and he gave a description of the man that he could make. And he said the killer had brown hair, was 5'9" to maybe 6 feet tall, 20 to 30 years old, and he was anywhere from 200 to 250 pounds. And the man had a husky voice. So I will say they looked into that story that he was an escaped prison from like Minnesota. That never checked out. All the patients at Deer Lodge were still there. Nobody had been recently released. Nobody had escaped.
Nobody traded places.
It was a fake story. So there was, like I said, oh no.
Did you lose your spot?
I lost my spot.
You were where the girl lost her life.
Yeah, I'm going back. I'm sorry. This is 21 pages and it scrolled all the way to the bottom. No, not there. Not that one. Not that one. Okay. So, fun fact, the idea of serial killers didn't really exist. They called them multiple person killers. Now at this time, there was a bunch of theories about this man. One of them included an astrologist who was looking at the stars, saying that the Zodiac Killer would kill around this specific date.
Okay.
She was one day off though. He killed the day after the date she said.
Oh wow.
But she was super spot on. So her theory was he was using the stars to determine when he would kill.
Okay.
There were all these theories, but the only thing they knew is that he would kill again. There was no psychological profiling. So a psychologist was trying to do an early rendition of what we would know as a profile. Remember from the Bayou Strangler, the profile of this gentleman is this. He probably lives, basic generic 30 to 40-year-old white male. I
had
think
had like an actual type.
Yeah, and then like I think the thing that like set the profile apart from most serial killers was they said that he lives near the airport, and that was spot on because when Bayou Strangler was first killing, he lived right next to the airport.
Scope out his victims getting off a plane.
No, it was because it was loud and noisy.
Yeah, you know.
Sadly,
just like
So one psychologist was trying to make an early rendition of a profile. She said that the killer might be psychotic and not psychopathic. So psychotic was being the result of a mental illness. For example, someone snapping and entering a psychotic break. Psychopathic is an illness, is an individual that lacks remorse and empathy. So I think she was trying to say he was psychopathic, not psychotic. Because a lot of people are like, oh, he's a maniac. He's just killing at random. And she's like, no, I don't think he's actually killing at random. I think he just lacks empathy. And I think he's just crazy, like in a bad way. Not a we can fix you way, in a you're unfixable kind of way. Yeah. Not saying that people with psychopathy are fixable, but like this man is.
Back in that time.
There was like nothing, and there was no support for people with
what he was
dealing with. So, a reporter in early October wrote this in the paper. He's fairly bright, but his spelling and grammar indicate poor education.
That's kind of what we said.
Yeah. He
We're gonna go
also
back.
wrote, he is fat, so he probably does not do well with the girls. In fact, he was unwittingly indicated a sexual inadequacy.
That's just mean. That's just harsh.
And that he was a fan of the stars, and that when they aligned, he would find young boys and girls together who symbolize everything life has denied him.
I mean, who knows? At least on that part. I mean, if he, well, you notice though, he's going after couples.
He's going after couples.
He's
yes.
going after couples. So who's to say that
I
maybe
think
he did have an issue when
with
he's
couples.
growing up, trying to find that one female who, but he just kept getting rejected because he gave him the creeps, or there was just something off about him, and maybe that's why he's going after couples.
And a lot of people use the line, "It's better than getting your rocks off with a girl."
Yeah.
As a reason why it may have been sexual. I don't think it was sexual at all. I don't think that's anything to do in this particular murder. But I did find that he is fat, so he probably does not get girls.
That's just mean.
That's just below the belt, man. Do you see what I mean by everyone was insulting the Zodiac Killer?
Like, come on.
You think now in...
I mean, we're not any better. We're making fun of him because he can't write, can't sew.
That's the thing. I think it's funny to see how through the generations we still go, okay, we're gonna insult him.
Yeah, it's like, I mean,
even now, like if you have
happens,
somebody who's done something, you kind of, the first reaction is like, what can I do to rip this man apart?
Exactly. Like this one, I mean, he kind of brings it on himself. It's just the description. I mean, he's already cutting himself down.
Yeah.
I mean, should we make fun of people? No. We should not make fun of people. That's just rude and mean.
He might be dead, so we're insulting a dead man. Who cares?
Yeah, but come on.
So no one backed any of these. It was just people like projecting and trying to solve a scary mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And they were trying to solve it before the next fatality, but that would be too late. He was already looking for his next kill. On the afternoon of October 11th, 29-year-old cab driver Paul Stein got ready to start driving for his shift at night. He was a PhD candidate in San Francisco State College. He was working at night as a cab company to cover the cost of his education. He was just a few months away from finishing his degree requirements, and he would be able to graduate in January. By 9:30, Paul had finished his first fare of the night, and he got a notification of his second fare. He stopped to pick up a single passenger, a man who hailed him at the intersection of Mason and Geary Streets. The man asked to be dropped off at Washington and Maple Street, which is a well-off neighborhood. Paul entered the location in his logbook and then started the meter and pulled away from the curb. What happened next is all a guess. When they arrived at the intersection as the passenger requested, the man told him to drive a block further at the corner of Cherry and Washington. Once they were there, the man pulled out a 9mm handgun and placed the barrel to the back of Paul's head, just behind his right ear, and pulled the trigger, killing Paul instantly.
Wow.
No one was around to witness the shooting, but the sound did attract the attention of 3 teenage boys in the area, in the apartment building across the street. When they reached the window to see what happened, they said they saw the killer move from the back seat to the front passenger seat, where it looked like he was going through the man's pockets. One of the kids called the police, and the other 2 went to the lower floor to get a better look at the guy in the cab. From their position, they saw the man wiping down the surfaces of the cab with a cloth, and then he moved Paul's body in an upright position and exited through the passenger door. He wiped down the handle after closing it. Once he was outside the car, the shooter walked to the driver's side, opened the door, and repositioned Paul's body again so he was sitting upright. And then wiped down the door. The man closed the door and calmly walked down Cherry Street. When the boys called the police officer, there was some sort of miscommunication because the dispatcher told police that the shooter was a black man.
Oh, no.
And to be advised.
Oh, wow.
As a result, when the police were driving to the scene, they drove right past the actual shooter and they ignored him because it was a white guy, even though he was the only person in the vicinity.
Wow.
The San Francisco police officers Ahmed Pesoliti and Frank Pita were their first to arrive and found 3 teenage boys standing near the cab, just taking in the scene. After moving them to a different location, they took the boys' statements, and when they realized that the initial description was wrong, they quickly contacted the dispatch to correct the description. By that time additional officers got
Too
there,
late.
the man was gone. The officers looked at the cab, Paul's body slumped forward. There was a hole in his head. And in the back seat, they found size 7 gloves, which is small for a guy. And they were black leather, so there was like no stretching it out.
Hence why he was wiping things down, because he did not have the gloves on.
They also found the 9mm casings and about 30 fingerprints. Among these fingerprints was one unidentified print that was streaked with blood, meaning most likely it was the shooter's fingerprint. They originally thought it was a robbery gone wrong. So they requested an ambulance and additional officers with dogs to look for the suspect. Firefighters were also called so they could set up high-powered lamps to illuminate the scene to get a better look. Once they collected the evidence, they moved the body because at this time, it was again a robbery gone wrong. And cabs at the time were part of a violent job field.
Yeah, because you get robbed a lot.
And it wasn't uncommon for a robbery to gone wrong to look like this. The search team pulled up nothing, and the boys start describing the killer and making a sketch. They said it was a white man. Don't know where the black man came from. Said he was 25.
Person not listening on the other end of that dispatch.
Said he was 25 to 30 years old, 5'8" or 5'9", weighed about 150 pounds.
Damn, he lost a lot of weight.
They also said he had reddish brown hair, and it was crew cut, and he was wearing a heavy rimmed glasses and a navy blue jacket, or black jacket at the time of the murder.
What happened to his with the
Who knows
sunglasses?
exactly his? It was 2 days later. I don't know. It was 2 days later when Paul's murder was connected to the Zodiac Killer. That afternoon, a letter arrived at the San Francisco Chronicle containing one single page note written in it in that now familiar writing and blue felt-tipped pen. So, fun fact about the Zodiac Killer, he always wrote in a blue felt-tipped pen. So they literally would just do handwriting analysis, and they would make sure it was the right kind of felt-tip pen to make sure it was him.
Oh, wow.
Because they were getting, they had made notes that it was written in a blue felt-tip pen, so they were getting fake letters from the Zodiac Killer.
Oh, wow.
So they had to analyze it.
Oh, my God. So you make it harder for them to try and catch a person that's killing people.
So he wrote this as in the letter. This is the Zodiac speaking. I am the murderer of the taxi driver over by Washington Street and Maple Street last night. To prove this, here is a bloodstained piece of his shirt, which he did include. He said, I am the same man who did the North Bay area. The San Francisco police could have caught me last night if they had searched the park properly, instead of holding road races and their motorcycles, seeing who could make the most noise. The car driver should have just parked their cars and sat there waiting for me to come out of cover. So basically, he was like, I was hiding the whole entire time, and y'all were just dicking around.
Taunting them again, making fun of them not doing their job.
Here's where it gets terrifying for people. School children make nice targets. I think I shall wipe out a school bus. Some morning, just shoot the front tire and pick off the kiddies as they come bouncing out.
Something mentally wrong with you.
Yeah. Bouncing out, that is...
Okay. What okay.
As I was writing that, I felt sick to my stomach writing that, because that was...
Wow. There's something mentally wrong with that dude.
Now, like the other letters, it was signed with the crosshair symbol, and the letter did include a bloodstained piece of Paul Stein's shirt. They did analyze the handwriting and found that it matched the previous letters that they had gotten months earlier. Now, this letter scared the crap out of everybody. Because this depraved killer's on the loose, he's definitely going to kill again, and it sounds like he's going to target a bunch of school children.
Well, he kind of made that clear.
So the police had no real evidence, and there's no progress in solving this murder. And there's a lot of talk on who the killer is. And they're like, he could be your next door neighbor. The LA Times actually wrote it best. He could be Mrs. So-and-so's boy that never says boo and still lives at home.
Oh my God. It never says boo.
I love the old language because you're like, never says boo, and then you realize he doesn't speak much. He doesn't say anything, is what they're trying to say, but says boo. I don't know. That never says boo and still lives at home. His mom might have taken too much Tylenol.
I was nice about it and just came out and said it. This one over here goes in deeper. Wow.
Or that bachelor that keeps to himself and never seems to have any fun. Or that poor guy who works so hard at that lousy job and never complains and never lets on that his marriage is miserable. There was a reason though, and I will say that everyone was obsessed at the time of the Zodiac Killer. While there were plenty of people that were killers, the Zodiac wasn't the first in California. But he had the first to change his MO and his victimology. And being the first to do something like that is kind of scary for people. Because that means it's not like my mom lived in the Midwest when Ted Bundy was killing.
Mm-hmm.
And she had long dark hair.
Yeah.
The only thing she didn't have was the blue eyes. But she remembers seeing all the victims and seeing herself in the victims. She remembers people who had that cutting their hair super short.
Yeah.
Or dyeing their hair blonde.
A different color, so he doesn't pick them off.
Yeah, so he was no longer a part of their victimology. Meanwhile, these couples are just...
They're normal couples that are in love.
Or even now a cab driver.
Yeah, that was random. That was random.
I wonder if it's because couples were avoiding lonely places. It's why he changed from a lover's lane to a parking lot to a lake.
Mm-hmm.
Couples started not going in quiet places anymore. So he's like, okay, the only person I can really kill now in a quiet place.
He's kicking Jason Voorhees out of his job. We're taking over the lakes. Yeah,
or killing cab drivers on the road.
Yeah, so yeah, he's definitely changing up his MO.
Yeah,
as they would say.
So now back to San Francisco. Everyone is panicking because they're worried that the kids will be shot getting off the bus. So the sheriff's department assigned more than 70 deputies to guard the school buses as they transported kids to and from school.
Wow.
And because the killer was no longer in one location but moving, they made an interagency task force to see what was happening and try to work together to solve it.
Wow.
And they had the FBI there. There were multiple police departments there. Wow. State police were there. Like everyone was like, we need to get together on this. This is a problem.
Mm-hmm. Especially with the much killing has he done.
Yeah. So I will say that even the Zodiac Killer seemed to be ramping up his kills. Like he seemed to be like speeding up and all that other stuff. Paul Stine was his last kill, at least officially. Mm-hmm. He never like names names or gives information. He claims to have killed more, but he doesn't do what he did with these. Mm-hmm. How he gives information. Mm-hmm. Just kind of, ooh, this person on this. He goes this date, and that's it. Or he'll just like, and I'll get to it. He does a tally against him and San Francisco police.
Oh God!
In like one of his letters.
Not a competition.
Yeah, so even though he didn't have any more victims, it didn't mean lack of attention. He had become the American version of Jack the Ripper. So after the Stein letter, there was a concern over public safety, and the police had to do something about it. So Chief of Police Martin Leahy released an all-points bulletin for school bus drivers who might find themselves the target of this killer.
Yeah.
It read as such. If a tire is punctured or shots heard, keep the bus in motion at all costs. Instruct all passengers to lie on the floor. Attract as much attention as possible by sounding the horn, flashing the lights, and erratic driving if necessary. The notice did reassure a lot of the school bus drivers, but the police chief couldn't help but make a dig at the Zodiac Killer, as they have been this whole entire time. I'm going to wait until you're sitting down for this.
Because the noodles don't go dry.
This is a little messed up. Oh, she gave him the sound box.
Haven't used it in a while.
So he says he called him a clumsy criminal liar and a latent homosexual. Where did the homosexuality come from?
Wow. I don't know what noise to do that.
Where?
What?
Where did latent homosexual come from?
Wow.
What goes through your mind to make you
why would
think?
you automatically accuse him of being that?
And the only thing I can think of, it's the late 60s, and they're like, anyone who does anything bad has to be a homosexual. Where does that sound familiar?
Probably in a previous case, and I just forgot which one it was.
No, I'm thinking of modern day.
Oh yeah.
Other
times.
So that just came out of left field. And again, making digs, rage baiting him. You're not doing anything good. Well, we do get a guy who is actually really smart and decides not to rage bait. California Attorney General Thomas Lynch got involved and acted as the coordinator in the manhunt. Lynch made a statement acknowledging the threat. You could not be but assured that it was a competent task force that was pursuing the killer. He said they were competent and concerned, and they will provide all the protection as possible. And in an effort to quell public hysteria, he told them the odds are low that a tragedy would occur. He also urged the killer to turn himself in and said that he was a highly intelligent individual. He said that eventually he would be taken into custody and it would be best he give himself up before tragedy is written in blood.
Jeez.
So the opposite of what the police chief just did. Tried to butter him up. Tried to go, you're of high intellect. This is going to end in a bloodbath, and I don't want to see you die. Turn yourself in.
Yeah, no.
Didn't work. Easy. But nice try. Different from all the things we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
So Lynch's assurances were a way to calm the increasingly worried public. In Napa County, the school's 64 buses were given a police escort every day. They covered 4,000 miles, transporting children to 28 different schools.
Wow.
There was a volunteer spotter, the sniper spotters.
Yeah.
Volunteer spotter that their whole job was to watch for unusual activity along the bus routes. The statements and press coverage of the manhunt prompted a massive public outpouring, and within a few days, the San Francisco police received hundreds of tips, but there was no useful information given. The weirdest call, though, was a man who called and said he was the killer and offered to surrender. On October 21st, the caller said he wanted to arrange a nationally recognized lawyer, F. Lee Bailey, to appear on a local morning show, A.M. San Francisco, and he would call to discuss a possible surrender. He said that if Bailey wasn't available, he would settle for California defense attorney Melvin Belli, who made his name by representing Lee Harvey Oswald's assassin, Jack Ruby, and other high-profile people. The one they got in contact with was eventually was Melvin Belli. And they played a recording of the call that was played for Brian Hartwell, the most recent living victim, but he was unable to confirm if it was him. So the next morning, Jim Dunbar was joined by Melvin Belli, who urged callers not to call and to leave the lines open for the killer. And this is on a morning show on TV. They chatted on air, the two of them, for nearly an hour. And finally, they received a call 50 minutes into broadcasting. In the clip, Melvin Belli is heard saying, "Did you hear me?" And a disembodied voice says, "Yes, I did." And then he hung up the phone.
Oh.
A few minutes later, the Zodiac called back and started a weird convo and told him to call him Sam.
Okay.
So during the call, the gentlemen were trying to get information from the Zodiac Killer, But the man on the phone would just dodge their questions and insist that he was indeed the Zodiac Killer. He said, I don't want to give myself up. I want to kill those kids now. I'm getting one of my headaches now.
Hmm.
I've got to kill. I've got to kill. After 20 minutes, the man said he would meet Belly on the rooftop of the Fairmont Hotel with nobody else, or he would jump off the building.
Okay.
Belly refused to meet the man on the roof, which was really smart,
Yeah.
and got him to agree to a different location, and they planned to meet him at 10:30 a.m. But when Belly got there was no one there, and he actually waited till 11:15, and no one arrived.
Hmm.
I said this before. People are awful. Many people thought that man wasn't actually the Zodiac Killer, but instead was a sick man that tried to take credit for his work because, believe it or not, that is actually a really common thing. It's like, if you remember Barbara Jean,
Mm-hmm.
kidnapping of Barbara Jean, do you remember how they had to sit by the phone
Mm-hmm.
and wait for confirmation? Because people were calling their phone saying, I want $1 million and I'll release your daughter, even though they didn't have their daughter.
Mm. Yeah.
During kidnappings, you are going to get calls from people who don't have your child
Mm-hmm.
and ask for money that way.
Yeah.
Because people are going to be awful.
Mm-hmm.
So the dispatcher, the one that got the call from the Zodiac Killer,
Mm-hmm.
listened to the recording and said that's not the same man. She said that the one that called her to schedule the meeting also gave details to one of the 5 crimes that only the police knew.
Mm.
So when he calls, he like gives information. He's like, I know they're not going to believe me, so I got to give info.
You have to give something.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the guy on the radio show the talk show didn't give any information, and that's not like the Zodiac. So I don't think that was actually the Zodiac. I think the Zodiac Killer is a narcissist
Mm-hmm.
or somebody who gets off on the power.
Mm-hmm.
The power of he could make it that a whole entire talk show has no callers for a whole entire hour.
He's in control.
He is in control. He has all of the power. And I think that's why he writes the letters, why he does everything he does, because he wants control.
Hmm.
So once the show was over, there was nothing to do. It was quiet for a couple of weeks. When another greeting card and another cipher was sent to the San Francisco Chronicle. It was then followed by a letter, a 7-page letter, and these 2 things had been nicknamed the Dripping Pen Card and the Bus Bomb Letter. So the reason it was called the Dripping Pen Card was because it was a photo of a wet fountain pen. It was one of the commercial greeting cards,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a photo of a wet fountain pen hanging to dry, and in pre-printed text it said, "Sorry I haven't written, but I washed my pen." Inside the card it read, "I can't do a thing about it."
Okay.
The Zodiac, of course, wrote in this card, and he said, "This is the Zodiac speaking. Um, though it's supposed to be thought,
Mm-hmm.
I thought you would need a good laugh before you hear the bad news. You won't get the news for a while yet. P.S. Could you print this cipher on the front page? I get awful lonely when I'm ignored. So lonely I could do my thing."
Mm.
The word thing was written in bold font and dark lettering and underlined 6 times. And it had 4 exclamation points after it.
Jeez.
Thing meant killing.
Right.
Yeah. Underneath, of course, was the crosshairs image with some text that read like December, July, August, September, October equals 7.
Mm-hmm.
So the dates were interpreted as a way to mock the police, as the Zodiac does, trying to indicate he's killed 7 people, not 5. According to author Michael Kor, there was a high-profile double murder on August 3rd in 1969. 2 young women, Deborah Furlong and Kathy Snoozy, were savagely murdered,
Hmm.
each being stabbed more than 100 times. Which I'm going to be honest, it doesn't sound like him. The most he did was Cecilia, which was 10.
Yeah, never heard him go above 10.
And he likes to kill in public, and from what I understand, these killings were not in public. And he likes to do it fast. He does not. I want you to picture, and I know this is going to be bad. I want you to picture going like this 100 times. Actually, make it 200 times. You got to have either anger or you have to have some sort of drug in your system to be able to move your arm in
That
such a
fast.
manner to do 200 stabbings.
Hmm.
Because each victim was stabbed 100 times, from what I understand.
Wow.
That's not the Zodiac Killer's MO. Now, people theorize they are his 6th and 7th victim, but there's no evidence, and he never claimed them like he did the other kills. And in the eyes of the law, the case was actually solved. There was a man named Carl Werner who was found guilty of the double murder and also another murder. So Zodiac Killer couldn't be tried for the crime anyway. So now back to the car bomb letter.
Okay.
This was received by the San Francisco Examiner, and it was a lot different from the letters that were previously written. The other letters were emotionally detached. Like, remember how I mentioned the bouncy as they bounce off the bus. I like to kill kids. Like, just very much detached from this.
Kill people.
I enjoy killing.
I enjoy killing.
Like, there is such an emotional detachment to that. So, I scrolled. Okay, so this one was angry, and the anger is targeted towards law enforcement, which is weird. Part of the letter, and because I'm not going to read all of it because it was like 7 pages long.
Okay.
So I'm going to read part of it. Part of the letter, like all letters, said, "This is the Zodiac speaking. Up to the end of October, I have killed 7 people. I have grown rather angry with the police for telling their lies about me. So I shall challenge the way of collecting slaves. I shall no longer announce to anyone when I commit my murders. They shall look like routine robberies, killings of anger, plus a few fake accidents, etc. The police shall never catch me, because I've been too clever for them. If you wonder why I was wiping the cab down, I was leaving fake clues for the police to run all over town. As one might say, I gave the cops some busy work to keep them happy. Hey, pig, doesn't it rile you up to have your nose rubbed in your boo-boos?
What? Okay.
If you cops think I'm going to take on a bus, as I stated, you deserve to have holes in your heads."
Wow.
The letter continued, and it described a new plan where he would place a bomb that he described as a death machine, and he called it my masterpiece. And he would put that masterpiece on a local bus. And the letter contained a list of components used to create the bomb, as well as a crude diagram. And the same blue felt tip pen was used to write the letter.
It's giving me Speed vibes.
Yeah. The letter
From the
had a postscript
movie.
instructing the editors to publish the diagram of the bomb. And on the final back page was a second post manuscript that said, "To prove I am the Zodiac, as a Vallejo cop about my electric gun sight, which I used to start my collecting of slaves."
Okay.
So he's saying that an officer questioned him on the night of the murder of the first one. That's at least what I got from it.
Say that part again.
To prove I am the Zodiac, ask that Vallejo cop about my electric gun sight, which I used to start my collecting of slaves. Because remember, he calls his killings his collecting of slaves. To me, that means something happened with a police officer that night.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. Like, what police officer?
What happened?
Yeah, like what the heck?
Is it like an Edmund Kemper where the police saw him and let him go?
And then didn't put 2 and 2.
Or they just didn't think about it?
Wow. It could be. Kind of what it sounds like.
6 weeks later, on December 20th, the 1-year anniversary of David and Betty's death, the Zodiac wrote again, this time to Melvin Belly. He wrote in an easier to read handwriting. They did prove it was his, though. Dear Melvin, this is the Zodiac speaking. I wish you a happy Christmas. And again, it was spelled incorrectly.
Mm.
The one thing I ask of you is this. Um, ask of you is this. Please help me. I cannot reach out for help because of this in me won't let me. I'm finding it extremely difficult to hold it in check. I'm afraid I will lose control again and take my ninth and 10th victim. Please help me. I am drowning.
Okay, question. I know he did the talk show thing, and it wasn't him on the talk show, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was not him at all.
That was not,
Okay,
there's
'cause
been
the
no
thing
evidence to prove it was him.
The thing that's getting me is the headache. Because when the person, whoever that was, him or not him,
Mm-hmm.
if he is mentally unstable, wonder if he had like a disease, a brain tumor, some type of brain condition.
Could have been just mental illness.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I keep hearing
The headache, yeah. And then
hearing
just
headache.
this letter, because remember he had previously had his 7th, and now he's talking about his 9th and 10th. So he's alluding to the fact that he's killed again, that he's killed an 8th victim. Because remember in the previous ones he said 7, now he's saying 9th and 10th. And he's like, please help me, I am drowning. At the moment, the children are safe from the bomb because it is so massive to dig it in. Sorry.
Turn into Ned Flanders, are you?
Plus, the trigger mech requires so much work to get it adjusted just right.
Mm-hmm.
But if I hold back too long from no 9, I will lose all control of myself. Plus, set the bomb up. It was signed with the crosshairs and another swatch of Paul Stein's shirt. So basically, he's like, I'm gonna kill again. Okay. Like, he's like, I don't want to, but I want to. And I'm going to kill again. So a few days later, Melvin contacted the Chronicle, who did agree to publish his response to the Zodiac on the front page on December 28th.
Mm.
He said, you have asked for my help, and I promise you I will do everything in my power to provide you with whatever help you may need or want. He offered to meet the killer in a private location of his choosing. There was no response. That was the last letter to be sent for a couple of months.
Mm.
It was dead silent, no new leads, no letters. It was just quiet.
Mm.
Finally, 2 letters showed up at the Chronicle about a week apart from each other. They were written in the same blue felt tip pen, with all the grammatical errors and everything. This time, though, the letters were a clear way to keep the story alive and on the front page, to keep its relevancy. In the letters, the Zodiac demanded the investigators release all the details of his bus bomb and called on the San Franciscans to start wearing, and I'm not kidding, and I'm quoting him on this,
T-shirts?
some nice Zodiac buttons. He wanted people to wear buttons with the crosshairs on it.
Okay. Reasoning?
He didn't give a reasoning. He just said it would be nice to start seeing people wear nice Zodiac buttons.
Like, so he knows that he's being paid attention to.
Yeah.
And it's giving him the attention.
It's very much attention. Mommy didn't love me and I need attention from everybody.
And we know Mama didn't love you because she didn't teach you to sew. Sorry.
The April letters repeated the previous letter claims that the killer had developed a massive bomb and was planning on leaving it in an undisclosed location in order to cause as much damage as possible. After a few weeks without any evidence, the public panic died down and things started to calm down. The April letters claimed that the Zodiac was at 10 victims, but gave no details to confirm it, just saying he killed 2 more. He claimed it would have been a lot more, except I was swamped out by the rain we had a while back. Rain stopped you from killing? What are you, allergic to the water?
I know. That's like, you would think for a serial killer, you would do that in the rain because it would wash away any evidence.
I guess
mean,
not. I guess we're terrible killers.
I guess we are because we do it in the rain. I'm just saying. Would never kill anybody. But come on, common sense, dude. You don't when okay. Yeah. There's another t-shirt. Okay. It's going to be exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point. Okay.
So more letters followed a few months later in late June. The editor of the Chronicle received a new note along with a new cipher
Oh, Lord.
saying, "This is the Zodiac speaking. I've become very upset with the people of the San Fran Bay Area. They have not complied with my wishes to wear some nice crosshair simple buttons.
They're going to get mad because he ain't wearing no buttons.
I promise to punish them if they did not comply by annihilating a full skull bus.
Oh, my God.
But now school is out for summer,
Darn it, it took too long.
so I punish them in another way.
Oh, Lord.
I shot a man sitting in a parked car with a .38. The note was signed with crosshairs. The killer had indicated he was up to 12 bodies, and it was accompanied by his fourth and final cipher.
Where is the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th one?
He just...
Sorry.
She's just throwing things.
Where he jumped from 7 to 12.
He's not. He's like, I killed somebody.
Sorry, babies.
I've killed 4 people. Don't know where they are.
Imaginary killing.
So a lot
God.
of people think that he's referencing a man, the man shot with a .38. On June 19th, 25-year-old San Francisco police officer Richard Raddick, at 5:30 a.m., the officer was sitting in his car and he started to write a parking ticket for a vehicle parked in front of him for being parked in front of a fire hydrant, when an unknown person approached from behind and shot him 3 times. I will say,
really irritated by not wearing them buttons.
well, and I will say there's no evidence given to prove it was him like the other 2 murders. He just
Maybe
said
copycat.
maybe, but it's the same handwriting. So it's possible he's just seeing these murders. He's not actually killing. Maybe it's possible he's seeing him and he's like, I'll claim it. Because he didn't give any information on that killing.
Which is what he's done with your actual 7. Not your imaginary
his
4.
actual 5, because the other 2 survived.
5. I'm sorry.
The 2 survived.
Well, no, the female died.
No. Because the first victim, the girl died, the guy lived. Second killing.
Well, the last one. The guy was in the hospital, right? He was in surgery. And the young
That's
lady
the
died
third.
of her injuries.
So basically it was, first victim, girl and guy died.
Mm-hmm.
Girl died. So he's at 3. Girl died 4.
Mm-hmm.
Guy died 5.
But
Then the 2 guys in the second and the third survived.
Okay.
So he's only at 5 murders.
You liar.
Where he's getting
Where's your
7?
Where's your
then 12?
Imaginary.
Mm.
You went from 5 to 12.
Again.
Hermione. No.
Again, the police only say the Zodiac.
Hermione. Come on.
Hermione.
Get in here. Hermione. Get your butt in here. Stop chasing the cats.
Hermione.
Stop chasing the cats. Oh, I know. You think you did a good job. But no, we don't chase the cats.
So the police have confirmed he only has killed 5. He has shot 7, but he's only killed 5.
What the fuck was that?
Katara jumped on a box.
Oh, okay.
Made a noise. So they only confirmed 5 killings to him. But he's like, I'm at number 12 now. Where did the other 7 come from?
Does he have short-term memory?
I don't know. 2 more letters were written that year. One to the Chronicle on October 5th, and another to the Chronicle writer Paul Avery on October 27th. They seemed a way to keep the story on the front pages.
Mm-hmm.
But the letter on the 27th was a little weird.
Hermione, get in here.
It was one of the rare cases where the killer addressed one person and not a group of people. He sent Hermione.
Stop. She does not want to play. Leave Mulan alone. Hey.
Hermione.
Get over here and stop that. She don't want to play. No.
No.
That does not mean... Oh, you're a little turd box. Ow. Hip.
Let Hermione learn.
Who are you picking on?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to let her kick your ass. That's what's gonna happen.
Let her learn.
She
Let
gonna-
her
she gonna
learn.
Kick your butt. And when it happens, do not come crying to us. I had to look and see who she was picking a fight with, and it was Mulan. And Mulan will kick your ass.
Beat her.
She will.
Why would you do that towards me?
Wait. At 110, folks. Yep. Oh my god. I didn't think it was gonna be loud.
Okay.
My bad. You had to have a laugh there for a minute.
So Avery
picking on me.
received a Halloween card. And Avery had done a bulk of reporting on the Zodiac for the Chronicle, and the Zodiac Killer made a threat on his life in that letter.
That was my stomach. Sorry.
In the interview, Avery said, "I'm not scared. I've needled him in some of my stories. Maybe that's why he wrote me." He literally went, "I've needled him. I'm not scared of him.
I ain't afraid.
I'm afraid of him."
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid.
5 months after Avery received his card, the editor of the Los Angeles Times received his first letter from the killer. And in this letter, the Zodiac Killer said he was up to 17 victims. He said the reason he wrote this time is because they don't bury me in the back pages like some of the others.
So he jumped from 5 to
17
12
now.
imaginary killings.
And then he's like, you're not going to bury me in the back of the newspaper like the other ones.
He's going to make sure he gets noticed.
Like the other letters, he taunted the police and he said, quote, "I am crack proof. If the blue meanies are ever going to catch me, they had best do something because the longer they fiddle around, the more slaves I collect for my afterlife."
All right, David Jones.
The blue meanies.
They're so mean they wear blue.
You called also boo-boos? Can we please? I think we missed over that part.
No, I heard the boo-boos. I was laughing when he said boo-boos.
Rub your nose in your boo-boos? He's sounding like a child. He's throwing a tantrum like a child. That's what he's doing.
I don't have a crying button on here.
Anyway, if the blue meanies are ever going to catch me, you're a meanie. You kill people.
Wrong button. Sorry. Well, it's supposed to be a whistle, but not that type of whistle. Wrong whistle. It's supposed to be like a police officer whistle, and it's not a police officer whistle. Wrong whistle. Wrong button.
Okay, so the Zodiac Killer was quiet for 3 years. He disappeared for 3 years. No communication, no nothing. No trying to keep the story alive. No demanding people wear buttons with his crosshair symbol on
That's
it.
probably what upset him, is they wouldn't wear his buttons.
Yeah, probably. He was like real mad about it.
And you
Like a
know,
baby.
and that the blueies are meanies.
Yeah, the blue meanies.
The blue meanies.
With their boo-boos.
Blue meanie boo-boos. Make a t-shirt. Blue meanie boo-boos.
So the Zodiac Killer went quiet for 3 years, and then he sent his final form of communication. This is the final thing they have ever received from the Zodiac Killer.
Okay, final one.
On January 29th, 1974, the letter was postmarked from Santa Clara County. The Zodiac gave no indication why he'd been quiet for 3 years. He only offered a couple of thoughts. He said,
he's up to 20 now.
He said, "I saw The Exorcist, and it was the best satirical comedy I've ever seen."
What? That's not funny. I can't even watch that movie.
He called The Exorcist a comedy.
What is wrong with you? That's not a funny movie. She spews soup. Pea soup. And her head spins. I mean, that's kind of funny. But the piece, no. And she looks like she has leprosy. You know what? She don't kick your butt. Stop.
No.
What is wrong?
Okay. Signed, yours truly.
Not Zodiac
And then
Killer.
he wrote, he plunged himself into the billowy wave, an echo aroused from the suicider's grove. Titwillow, Titwillow, Titwillow. P.S. If I do not see this note in the paper, I will do something nasty, which you know I'm capable of.
You haven't done anything for 3 years.
In a small lettering on the bottom right, it said, Me 37. San Francisco Police Department 0.
Oh, gee. So what? Where did the 20 extra come from? What is it? What is wrong with? Can he not count? Does he not have a tally book? He went from 5.
But remember, he did say he wasn't going to tell anybody he was killing. He was no longer going to admit to his kills.
Stop.
Because the police weren't doing enough about it.
But if there's no evidence of him actually doing it, how can people believe he's done 37?
Because he's trying to use fear.
Like that? You better, you know what?
You're going to get your butt kicked.
Stop.
I'm going to have to take you to the vet because you're going to have claw marks in your face. And Mulan is just staring at you through the door. She's ready for a fight.
Stop hitting the table. Hermione.
She's not listening.
You're like the Zodiac Killer. Listen.
She doesn't. She refuses.
What is wrong? What is wrong? That's not a fun move. At 37?
This time, it wasn't crosshairs that ended the letter. It was a series of strange markings that they said look like
That was Hermione.
that look like Chinese or Japanese like lettering.
Okay.
But it was not an identifiable language. It wasn't actually a language. It looked like it, but it wasn't.
It was gibberish.
Yeah. While it was a different kind of letter, it is believed to be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, San Francisco police have received hundreds of letters claiming to be the Zodiac, but they are never confirmed.
There's my hip.
Now, who was the guy? No one really knows. The FBI police, everyone's looking for him. And in fact, there were 13 murders where the police thought it might have been the Zodiac Killer. But it was proven not to because of no connections or claims or anything like that. So they thought there were 13 murders connected to him, but they were like, nah, it can't be.
He's still stuck at 5.
Yeah.
You don't have 37.
Exactly. So I need you to sit down for this because I'm about to give
working
you.
on it. I just stirred the
I need to give you the number of suspects that the police originally had.
My tummy's making a rumbly.
There have been 2,500 suspects in this case.
Wow.
Yeah. And of those, there are a handful considered to be serious suspects.
Wow.
The list is so long. People have included Ted Kaczynski, Charles Manson, and other killers at the time in that grouping.
Oh, wow.
There is no way to go through all the suspects because there's just that many.
Either that or some of them are already gone.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about the 3 most likely.
Okay.
So, Richard Gowowski. When the murders began, he lived in San Francisco. I love how I stop. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to keep going. Richard Gowowski. When the murders began, he lived in San Francisco and he had been living there for 6 years.
Right.
He was also an editor at the Good Times newspaper.
Good times.
He would have been a short distance from 2 of the Zodiac crime scenes.
Okay.
And he does bear a resemblance to the sketches of the Zodiac. Like his eyes match, his nose matches. He even does this like sneer. Let me see if I can find a photo and you can see what we're talking about. You're farting as you walk?
I told you I might have to go to the bathroom. Yeah, it's warning me.
Okay.
So this is the all serious case with a laughing matter in the end.
This is the wanted sign. And this is his photo.
This is whose photo?
Richard Gowowski.
Why does it look like you've been beat up?
I know. But look at the image. Look at Look at the sketch. That is the sketch of who they said was a Zodiac. Now look at his face. They look very similar.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So all of the evidence against him, as with all three of these suspects, is completely circumstantial. But some of it is pretty compelling.
Wow.
When Mike was giving his statements,
Sorry.
when Mike was giving his statements, he said that he had been chased by one of Darlene's exes before they were assaulted. Apparently, Darlene knew Richard and told Mike it was a friend of hers and he was jealous.
Okay.
She called him Richard, and later Darlene's sister confirmed she had an ex named Richard that was a journalist.
Okay.
Richard Jokowski is an editor at the Good Times
Journalist.
News.
Okay.
The dispatcher that took the call from the Zodiac Killer listened to the tape in 2009 of Richard speaking, and she said it sounded like the same man.
Oh, wow. And this is one of the three?
Yeah. This piece of evidence is a little bit upsetting. Paul Stein's sister claims a man resembling Richard went to her brother's funeral, but she didn't know who he was. So she saw him. She was like, "That's weird. I've never seen this man." And then when she was looking at photos, she saw Richard Stein's photo and went, "That's a man who went to my brother's funeral."
Huh.
She didn't know who he was, but she saw him again
Just
and
like,
went,
"Oh, I know who
that's
that is."
weird. And
I've seen
something you haven't maybe not caught on to is sometimes serial killers will go to the funerals of their victims
because they want to make sure that they're dead.
Or
just the pure pleasure of knowing they did it.
The power of knowing they're the ones who did it and now they're sitting there. They get to watch everybody else grieve over the life they took.
I'm going to have to keep that in mind whenever we do more of these.
Yeah. So the last piece of evidence, apparently he was a weird person.
Apparently.
He was a weird person. His coworkers at Good Times found him pretty strange, and in 1971, the year that the last letter was, the letter before the 3 years, his coworkers had him involuntarily committed to Napa State Mental Hospital.
Wow.
There he was diagnosed with an unnamed mental disorder. Yeah.
Wow.
Which would explain the 3-year period of him not writing any letters because he was hospitalized.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Apparently he like gave off a vibe to some of his coworkers that he was like, one of his coworkers went, "He's a Zodiac Killer. I know he is. Just looking at him, I'm pretty sure he's a killer." Yeah. He was actually interviewed after Darlene's murder by the FBI, and he said he was out of country. But a private investigator found out that he lost his passport right before the trip, and he wouldn't have even been able to leave the country. As the private investigator said, the FBI never checked his alibi. They never checked to make sure he got on that plane.
They just believed him.
They just believed him.
Oh, wow.
After he was released from custody, so after he was done with his state hospital, he owned a small movie theater.
Okay.
Which, guess what was released in movies? Year of his release.
Yeah, The Exorcist.
The Exorcist.
Oh, wow.
Works at a movie theater. He managed a few punk bands and also advocated for progressive political issues.
Okay.
He did pass in 2004.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's one person. He is a heavy contender. The next one is Gary Francis Post. He is an independent group of retired investigators known as the Case Breakers. In 2021, identified him as the most likely to be the Zodiac Killer.
Okay.
He was a former member of the U.S. Air Force and had a strong history of violent behavior, including domestic violence. I will say that is often an indicator of a killer is someone who has a history of domestic violence.
Yeah.
Because you cannot keep that inside for so long. That desire to kill, that desire for power inside for so long. Domestic violence is just one way it can get out. That's why it's always, if you notice something, pay attention to it. He lived a 15-minute drive from many of the crime scenes. And this case, like the previous one, is all circumstantial evidence. And it has been refuted by the FBI. The FBI keeps saying this is not the man. He apparently had some scars on his forehead that matched descriptions of the Zodiac Killer. So he had the same scars. Okay, I'm gonna wait for you. Okay. Okay. Anyone have any questions? I know this one's taking a little long. It's 21 pages. I'm trying my hardest to finish it. But does anyone have any questions on this killer? Or any questions at all? I may not be able to answer them all, but I can try. Isn't that right, Willow? Boop. I poke the nose. The dog is in the corner pounding. She was trying to get to Milan. It didn't work out well. Na 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 na. No questions? We just vibing? No. Hello.
I'm gonna stay away from the iced lattes for a while.
Please.
I don't do Dutch bros very often, and when I do, and it's something I don't do all the time, I'm gonna stay away from her for a bit.
So apparently Gary
Doesn't forget.
had scars on his forehead that matched the descriptions for the Zodiac Killer.
Okay.
Like they were in the same location and everything on his thing. He also, one of the military blueprint was found at the scene of one of the crimes, and he was former military.
Okay. Right.
Makes sense. And they found a Timex wristband that was proven to be sold only on military bases.
Okay. But nothing was ever said about the Zodiac Killer having a watch.
Exactly. But he may have left it. There was that idea.
Who it is done?
He was also linked to the murder of Sherry Jo Bates. Later. No, it was at midnight. Murder of Sherry Jo Bates, an 18-year-old girl who was killed in Riverside in 1966. She started community college, and the last she was seen was at the library on October 30th.
Okay.
The next morning, groundskeeper was sweeping when he found her body in an alley on campus.
Oh, okay.
Police believed her killer disabled her car, waited for her to go back to her car, and at some point they thought she could be the victim of the Zodiac, actually.
But then he
when they
never
were
did that.
backlogging.
That wasn't one of his MOs.
Yeah. The case breakers believe that Post was guilty because given everything, they were like, oh, I think he might be the suspect for this. I think he might be the Zodiac. But investigators in the police department still to this day say it's not him. They're like, it's not him. He's not the killer.
Right.
In 2021, a letter was sent to Riverside police saying the Zodiac didn't kill Sherry. It was a sick joke. That's what they called Sherry's murder. Which, by the way, sick joke, murder, sick joke.
Yeah, it's not a sick joke. That's
so the
sounds
police
like you have no emotions yourselves for saying that.
So the police came out and said there was still a $50,000 reward for information on the killer.
Okay.
After this,
Mm.
because it was like, oh, he didn't kill this particular person. We can prove he didn't kill him.
Yeah.
The last one is a man named Arthur Leahy Allen.
You have any Parmesan cheese? Probably not, huh? Oh, okay.
The Zodiac Task Force still considers him the most likely suspect.
Okay.
He was an elementary school teacher.
Okay.
Served in the Navy and was discharged in 1959. And 2 years later, he moved to San Francisco. He was fired in 1968 when a student made sexual accusations of sexual misconduct against him.
Okay.
So he was fired from his job for it.
Okay.
People liked him, but they found him strange.
Okay.
Friends and neighbors said how he spoke was similar to how the Zodiac wrote.
Okay.
Like the using of bouncing down. Somebody called and said, "Hey, I've heard that term before. This dude,
The teacher. Yeah.
used the terminology bouncing down from the stairs before in front of me."
Come on, you got me all hairy
Right.
again. Yeah.
So before the killing started,
Mm-hmm.
he joked with his friends about hunting couples at night, sending letters to the press, and calling himself the Zodiac.
And this is before all of it started.
This is before all of it started.
Okay. Now, how much of that did his friends believe?
Because it hadn't happened yet. None of it. They
They're
thought it was
probably
a
thinking
joke.
now. They're probably thinking, "Oh, we should have."
There's a whole, I think, documentary on Netflix right now.
Oh wow.
He had kids, and his kids are like, I think he may have been the Zodiac Killer.
Oh wow.
And we're going to take into a little bit more of why I think he might be. I think the first one is a strong contender, but I think this one, there's something. He also got a speeding ticket close to the lake where the couple was attacked and close to the time when the couple got attacked.
Oh, okay.
So he was in the vicinity. And when the officer looked in his back seat, he saw a bloody hunting knife.
Okay.
Remember, he stabbed him with a knife?
Yeah.
So it was after the murders he was caught for speeding close to where the the third victims were.
Okay.
And when the police officer was looking, he found a bloody knife in his back seat. And do you want to know his excuse?
I was hunting animals.
He said, I used it to kill a chicken.
Yep, they told you.
Oof. One of his coworkers turned him in because he read the phrase "a little darling," which was used in a letter, and the dude just knew.
Mm.
In 1971, police interviewed him a couple of times, and they searched his home, discovered a long hunting knife,
Mm-hmm.
along with a freezer of dead hamsters, squirrels, and birds.
And if you remember, in one of the things that the Zodiac Killer had made the statement of, he's been interviewed by cops before.
Yeah.
So this is kind of. Mm-hmm.
They searched his home in 1991,
Mm-hmm.
found some weird writings,
Mm-hmm.
some pipe bombs,
Oh, jeez.
and illegal weapons.
Okay.
Though the police said none of this was enough to arrest him for being the Zodiac.
How?
So they could arrest him on the pipe bombs and all that other stuff, but
Right,
they couldn't arrest him
yes.
for the Zodiac.
Okay.
In 2002, DNA and fingerprints analysis comparing Alan's DNA and fingerprint DNA to fingerprints on a letter were not a match, which ruled him out as a suspect.
Okay.
In 2018, police still said he was their best lead. And he died of natural causes in 1992. So he died in 1992. And even though in 2002 they were like looking at DNA and stuff on a letter and it came out it wasn't him, they were like, nah, I still think it's him.
Yeah, there's something.
In 2018, in 2004, the case was made inactive. And then 2007, the case was reopened due to additional DNA testing.
Hmm.
In 2018, after the capture of Joseph James D'Angelo, the Golden State Killer, using familial DNA using Ancestry, the cops decided to do that with the Zodiac Killer.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, results were inconclusive.
Oh, Jesus.
Because after a period of time, DNA starts to decompose.
Mm-hmm.
And since they had no new DNA, the last DNA they had was from the 70s.
And
that
you can't go back because he's been dead for so long. He was dead for 10 years.
in 1992 he
died
died.
in 92. And then they tried the DNA in 2002, right?
They tried the DNA in 2002. They said it was
So 10
not.
years later.
And after 7 years, the DNA starts composing. That may be why they still said he's our strongest victim, is because it could have been too deteriorated.
Yeah, you can't do nothing.
And when they tried to do the DNA thing,
you can't do nothing because
it's
it's already
inconclusive.
decomposed. Oh, wow.
So, who do you think it was? The first guy, the second guy, or the third guy?
I'm going to say the first or second or the third guy.
I honestly think it may be just simply based off of the photos, because let me see if I can find a photo of
Richard not being there for 3 years and he's been locked up and then 3 years nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a very clear picture right there that he could be the suspect. Third, Thomas says it's the third. And I agree with Thomas too, the third, but the third has more linking him to it than the first one.
That's Arthur. That's the sketch. She's looking at a photo of Arthur in the sketch, kind of like what she did with Richard.
This one right here, where they did that one first and then that one.
And I know it's going to sound weird. What if the Zodiac Killer was two people? They switched on and off. It was a pairing of. That makes sense to me. That's why the DNA
That's where you
doesn't
got
match.
it to 37.
That's why the DNAs don't match. It's why it was so weird. The locations changed. The methods changed. Shooting, then going to stabbing. Then going back to shooting.
Yeah, if you're going to be a serial killer, you would stick with one MO.
You typically stick with one.
You don't do more than one, so that makes more
And
sense. That makes
only in the last murder did he focus on posing the body. All of the other victims were never posed. He left them where they were. So I wonder if maybe it was a tag team.
It could be.
It could have been.
Hold on for me. What if Zodiac was a woman
And a male. They switched on and off.
Yeah.
And only the male was ever seen.
And maybe, sorry to go back to the crappy sewing job. Maybe that one was the female,
And
that's why. But a female knows how to shooting was the woman and stabbing was man.
but no, because when Mike was shot, he saw a man. So what if the first shooting was a woman, second shooting was a man,
And then they kind of went back and forth.
and they went back and forth. The dude realized shooting wasn't for him, so he stabbed.
But then who would the woman be? See, that's the fun part. Now trying to figure out who would the woman be. I mean, they're both probably gone. Not still
Yeah,
here.
because even if we think about it, if these happened in 1969, 1968.
That's why they would talk to a male
and then be shot. Maybe. But if you look at the dates, the murder started in 1968. They ended in 1969. It was only a spree of a little bit. It was like less than a year of the spree, but the letters continued on for a while. Could be.
Because the woman was shooting them while he was smoking.
He did say he was blinded by headlights.
Not only that, they never once say that a woman calls in, though. It's always a male that calls in.
Yeah.
They never speak of a woman. Or
the woman writes a letter.
And
she gets off on watching. She sits in the car and watches.
And it's the whole thing. She's running the whole show. It could be she's behind it all, but you never see her. You only see the male figure.
She writes the code. She writes the letters.
Yeah, she writes it all in there. But then that would make her kind of not incompetent, but...
And it would explain the emotional detachment in the letters because she's not the one who actually wrote it. It would also, if she had children per se, the use of the word of meanies, boo-boos.
Yeah, because not all moms, but dads say it too. And why the gloves were so small.
Maybe it wasn't a single passenger, but instead a double passenger.
Mm-hmm. Because all he said is he picked up a single person. Or they recorded it like how you can get a taxi cab. And it records as, well, okay, you're only picking up one, but...
Maybe she came in at a later time and asked to be picked up in the cab. They picked her up.
Yeah. He'd write them, but she told him what to write. That too. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's a female the whole entire time.
Who knows?
That, but could have been running the whole kit and caboodle.
And it would explain the emotional detachment. And maybe he wrote the car bomb letter, and that would explain why the letter is so angry in that. But maybe it's the insult, the not paying attention. It's just something.
He got pissed off because they wouldn't wear buttons.
And it is such a weird case because of that. Because it's very much like a child throwing a tantrum.
Or a male with multiple personalities.
It could be. It would explain the messy handwriting, the changes in handwriting, the calls and pleas for help in that one letter. Honestly,
if anybody has ever watched the TV show, oh my God, what the hell is it?
And maybe because there have been reports. Yeah, and maybe there have been reports that people change their voice tone when they change personalities. It's possible she didn't recognize the voice because the tonal thing had changed.
Yeah, because there's an episode in Criminal Minds that it's the actor James Vanderbeek plays in it, right? He plays from One Tree Hill, whatever it was. Not One Tree Hill, Varsity Blues, whatever. And he has a double personality. He's talking like his father, but then he resorts back to himself, being scared, afraid. But it's one person. And when he goes to make the calls about the murders happening, because he's the one doing it, he does the murders as a father, as his father, and then he calls as himself, saying, "Help me! I need help. 2 people have been murdered. My dad did this." And when they go to try to find his dad, yeah, he's himself and his father. He's one person to where he's reflecting on his father, because why? The father is the strong male figure in the household, in the family, and maybe the abuse. In that episode, it was the abuse from his father.
It could have been triggered by the trauma of being accused of sexual misconduct.
Yep.
Anyway, it's an interesting case that I think it is, to me, it is the equivalent of the Jack the Ripper in America, the American Jack the Ripper, because of how,
that version of it.
like, the theories. Jack the Ripper could have been a woman. Jack the Ripper could have been a guy.
We don't know.
We don't know.
There's also an episode where a guy is split as a male
And
and a female. Yep.
It's not
Seen that
uncommon.
one.
I think it's an interesting case. I think, honestly, either the first guy, or because he was diagnosed with an unspecified mental illness. And the thing is,
And the phone calls.
multiple personality syndrome, or DID, did not get its first diagnosis until, I do believe, the 70s or the 80s. So if they knew there was a mental health condition, but they didn't know what it was, they would just say it was an undetermined mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible.
Yeah, he could have.
But I
we're
will
not going to
say,
know because he's passed because of natural causes.
yeah, I will say there is a documentary on Arthur Allen, or no, Alan Leahy, Arthur, and his family is speaking in the thing, and his family is pretty sure
He
their
was it.
parent, their dad was the Zodiac. Like, they go into who he was, all of the like his personality, everything like that. So I think,
Huh.
if you really want to watch
It
the
was
documentary,
schizophrenia, but it didn't fit in.
yeah, it was like a
Same
rare
thing.
form of schizophrenia.
Mm.
But I think, honestly, it could have been.
I'm not gonna know ever.
I think the LA Times put it best. It could have been Miss So and So's son who doesn't say boo. The
Doesn't speak much.
The bachelor who doesn't go out and party and keeps to himself,
Mm-hmm.
or the gentleman who works a lousy job and doesn't tell anybody that his life at home is miserable with his wife.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a multiple of things.
It could have been
You're not gonna
anyone,
know.
man, woman,
Mm-hmm.
a couple.
I mean, I'm leaning more towards the multiple personalities.
Yeah.
You're able to change your tone when it comes to certain things. So I mean, who knows? We will never ever know. Probably not even our lifetime. We will ever
Especially
know.
if they already tried the ancestry DNA and it was inconclusive.
Yeah.
Because that's and police are starting to do that now with more and more crimes. They're trying to find things, because that was a breakthrough case. Being able to solve the Golden Gate Killer case using Ancestry.com,
which is smart.
It is smart,
I
because
just feel sorry
they
for
were
the
able
family
to
that's underneath the person.
they were able to trace it to a niece, and it said that this DNA is closest to
the Golden Gate.
the uncle, the being an uncle. And when they looked at her family tree, they saw who it was. They looked into her family, saw who it was, looked at who was living there during the time. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was actually a police officer at the time for the San Francisco.
Now, how would you feel going off of your ancestor DNA and know that one of your relatives is the Golden Gate Killer? Might also be inconclusive because it's two people's blood mixed. Ooh.
Maybe two people's DNA.
True.
Or it could have been that they put it, I think when you do DNA, you also check if it's male or female. But it could have been, it could be a variety of different things. I think, stop it. I think, stop it. I think it's just an interesting case. The fact that he took multiple of Paul Stein's shirts to keep as a memento and use it.
Maybe he knew Paul personally in some type of aspect, so.
And honestly, you know what I was thinking?
That
the first kill was a practice run to see if he could do it. The second kill could have been who he actually wanted to, because he emptied his gun.
Yeah.
And the third one was just for the hell of it. The third and fifth one could have been just for the hell of it. He didn't actually want to kill a bunch of people. He got off on the power that it got, but he didn't actually want to kill people.
Yeah. Hi. Oh, is that in your way? There you go. What are you doing?
She is saying it's all in her way.
Hermione. Oh, no, you want that one? We'll get it. Okay. YouTuber. Okay, guys.
Okay. We will see you next week. I know this was a
Yes.
long one. I'm sorry.
Next week's is Edgar on Mr. Edgar Allan Poe.
Yes.
You know what's hilarious? I'm going to give you guys a little tidbit. Next Monday is the 7th, right? Or
Mhm.
is it the 6th or 7th?
It's the 6th.
The next day is his when he died.
Really? The 7th?
Yeah, I was like,
Damn.
I was doing this and I'm like, wait a minute, what? Hold on. I had to look at the calendar and I was like, holy crap.
That's weird
Wow.
coincidence.
Yes, it is. So I was like, we're literally doing this on the anniversary of his death.
Damn.
So pretty close
That
to
was actually
it.
pure coincidence.
Yes, it was. That's pretty kind of gave me some goosey bumpies.
And
I
then
got the chicken.
Did you use a hunting knife to kill that chicken?
Huh?
Did you use that hunting knife to kill the chicken?
No.
Put the bloody knife in your backseat?
Sure did.
Police
How'd
officer
you know?
sees it, goes, "Oh,
No,
are you
one of
hunting
our
chickens and the
so
bloody knife is still in the back of your car?"
one of
What
the
the fuck,
people
guy?
that we follow and we watch, Casper
Oh.
Sight is the one that says, I got the chicken. And so every time he gets the goosebumps, he'll be like, I got the chicken. So it's something that we've heard from him say, okay? So but yes, next week is going to be Mr. Edgar Allan Poe, which I am excited for because he is one of my favorite. I even put it in my thing. And guess what? I'm actually typing it up because I'm trying. I know it's a shocker. Don't hurt yourself getting off the couch. You might fall because I did something responsible. He is one of my favorite dark poets. I don't know what it is about his story, how he is, but there's I'm digging up a lot of things, on him. The book that I have, I'll show it to you because it's freaking thick as hell. It does have some information in the very beginning of that I pulled, but I will. I had a reading teacher. Her name was Miss Hazen. She is one of my favorite reading teachers from Pima Community College, and I bought this book at Barnes and Nobles. But this is how thick the sucker is. Okay, this is the book. It is pretty much Edgar Allan Poe, complete tales and poems. So there's a little thing in the front here, not this part, but like when you go past all the introduction, it tells you a little bit about him, and it talks about the things that he achieved and what happened. So I'm pulling from this, and I will probably at the end like put who he got with on his works and things like that. He to me he's a dark poet,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't wait. But I bought this book when I found it at Barnes and Nobles, and then I bought it, gave it to her, and then I bought another copy because I gave her one. So and October hit
Mm-hmm.
because it is the month of Halloween. It is his
Yeah.
anniversary month that he passed, and she brought out a raven, and then like a T-shirt with him on the front of it, and I looked at her and I was like, oh, what I think we're doing? And I was like right there, and she goes, well, what do you think we're doing? I'm like, we're gonna talk about Edgar Allan Poe. And I was like grinning from ear to ear, and she's like, yes, we are. I'm like, yes. And she's like looking at me and go, he's my favorite. I don't know. It's just something about him that I like. Um, but yeah, that's gonna be him next week.
Mm-hmm.
We probably might go on a little earlier because since fall's hitting right now,
It's getting
and
darker
it's starting
sooner.
to get doctor faster. Woohoo! Darker faster.
We might go on a
We
little
might
early
go like on around 3:30, 4 o'clock. We're gonna have to judge it
if we're
this week.
home. Cause
Yeah, with
oh wait,
inventory right
no,
now.
it's Monday.
Yeah, it'll be next
After
Monday.
inventory,
We're
we
back
should
to
be
normal. So we might go on again. We might go on a little bit early. Um, can't wait till next week. Laugh out loud, dude. Inventory's this week. Just so you have FYI for us.
I'm crying because we have been told that we aren't going home until tomorrow until we're freed,
Yep.
and they have casts scheduled from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
We're gonna be in at 5, but we're not gonna have a team lead until 7 because
Yeah.
it's pre
So
counts.
it's pretty much I'm going to be doing the picks, and then after that she's going to be in the fitting room taking care of the other stuff, the
claims and all that
the
fun
claims
stuff.
and junk, and then I'll be doing picks, and then more likely helping with the deep zone because that's what we're going to be told to do is make sure we deep zone. So yeah, so we'll see what happens, and I mean, She gets a Friday off. I don't get a day off again until Monday.
I get well.
Next week.
That's don't sound like I just get Friday off for no damn reason. I get Friday off because I work 9 days in a row.
She did. And
I get 1 day off
now-
this week.
So yeah, so now I'm gonna be working the 6 days straight and going from there. Out and walking back out. Yeah. Would you stop later?
I will say, we're like they're trying to make it that they work
Stop.
all of the freight. Because we only got 600 pieces tonight.
Well, yeah, because we're not gonna get any tomorrow.
Well, no, we were expecting about 2,000 pieces.
Oh wow.
Because it was supposed to be a double truck, but one of the trucks never
Thursday
showed
off.
up.
That's my normal day off. I don't get that day off.
I think
Saturday off.
I think only they won't let us have Thursday off because for apparel we overstuff the rack, so we don't have to count it, and then we have to fix everything on Thursday.
Yeah, so that means like any go backs or shit like that we have to take care of.
Yeah, because we can't do go backs during inventory.
Nope. So
yeah, the whole truck was over 3K, but I think for apparel it was only 3,000 pieces. Not 3,000. It was only 600 pieces. So it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Considering we usually get 1,000 pieces a night.
Yep. So we will see you, Thomas, and Angela tomorrow morning. And I'm going to go eat and then get changed and lay down and attempt to fall asleep before 11 o'clock.
I'm going to go try to pass out, eat, and then try to pass out about 8:30.
Yep. So
because I'm going to need the sleep for the next 2
right.
I do believe that they're because they were expecting a double truck and they only got one. They are planning on having Cap 2 because I was talking to one of the Cap 2 guys. They're having them work freight to help out overnights because overnights needs to be on their game tonight to get the freight stocked so that Tuesday nobody is working and they're all deep zoning and you guys are taking care of the top stock and all that other stuff.
Grandpa.
So
it's great grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's grandpa.
Oh
yeah.
Oh. I think it is time for us to go.
Yeah, it's grandpa.
I think it is time to go. Michelle, would you like to say goodbye?
Yeah.
All right. We're
All right,
going to
guys.
say bye,
We gotta
guys.
go. We have to go.
Bye. Bye.
Sometimes that's not always a good thing. People don't like to put things away right.
That's true.
Not wrong there.
Bye.
See you guys tomorrow. Bye. Love you guys.